Hello and welcome to another edition of Brandon's Face, the podcast about a playlist. My name is Brandon with the Face, and I'm joined by my co-host John. How you doing, John?
I am doing fantastic, Brandon. How are you doing?
I love that. I'm also doing very well. We've got our November playlist. I'm sorry, our October playlist. I think this is part two. Um,
No, this is November part one. That's how stacked
November
it
part
is.
one. That's right. Wow.
Dude, it's crazy
Yeah.
how many albums have dropped this month alone already. It's
And
fucking
and you-
insane.
and you know what, man? We're not even lacking on any really good singles and album announcements. I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, there's a bunch coming down the pipeline.
Well, I went ahead and the first single that I added on here was a single by a band called Porcupine Tree. New music from them is it's actually pretty exciting. I'm very curious to hear what you thought about the new song, but also you had mentioned that you didn't know who they were, so I threw some of my favorite songs on there, including the 17 minute and 52 second anesthetize.
Yes.
So I'm gonna let you take this away here, John.
I was playing this with Katie, and right away, first song, we're both like, Tool? And I don't, do you get that connection at all right away? Like, did you add it being like, oh, this band sounds a lot like Tool?
I've talked about it a little bit on the show, and I had Tool kind of ruined for me. So I had been seeking out bands that sound like Tool, to kind of replace that sound. And yeah, I definitely heard the similarities, but I
Yeah.
actually think Porcupine Tree is kind of in their own little niche, which I really enjoy.
Well, it's funny you say that because I'm pretty sure they predate Tool. Their first album came out in 91 and Tool's first EP came out in 92. So,
Yes.
looking into it, I don't think either of them are copying each other. I think this is kind of just they both grew up in the same time in different countries and are very influenced by similar things sonically. And we
Yes.
hear that in the music, you know. They're all fantastic musicians. Another band I'm really surprised I've never heard of until now for like their body of work. But I thought this was really good. And I think after Heridan, after hearing that as their new single, I think their new album is going to be a really interesting listen and review.
Yeah, I think so too. You mentioned that they started in 91 and they did. I don't know if you listened to any of their music from 91, but it is not this.
I skimmed and it was a little weird. Yeah.
It is not this. It's more kind of like electronic ambient kind of weird soundscapes, which is cool and I dig it, but I really like their later work. I think this is their first single. This is their first single in like 11 years or something like that.
Yeah. That's insane. That's, I feel like, I don't, we talked about this, I feel like a few times over this year. And I don't know if it's a result of like post pandemic, but it feels like we're getting releases from artists that have not even been on anyone's radar in the last like almost 10 years. I feel like tomorrow we're going to get a Magnetic Man album announcement or something. Like I don't know what's next, but I'm honestly loving this time in music.
Yeah, it's really exciting. It's really exciting. So, did you was it difficult for you to make it through this 17 minute and 52 second song?
No, because I mean, right away from the first song, like I think, and I say Tool, honestly, I think maybe overall it's a little closer to a perfect circle if you're going to do a Maynard band comparison.
Yeah.
But the new song sounds a little bit heavier, it's a little bit pluckier. And no, I was into it. And I actually thought that it was cool that the 17-minute song sounded completely different than their new stuff that I'd heard. Like, it's the same band, but they're not settling on a sound. I like that they're experimenting, 30 years into their run.
Yeah, me too. And I think the lead singer, I forget his name, but he went on kind of a solo career for a while, and I think that really, I think a lot of people were drawing comparisons to from on Harridan to his solo stuff, but you can tell that the other bandmates are really doing their part here too. I highly recommend listening to the 3 albums that I threw on here. I chose my favorites from the 3 albums. I think it's Dead Wing, In Absentia, and then one other one, The Fear of the Dark or something like that. Yeah, I highly recommend you throw these guys on and take a look at it and listen to it, because they are. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. It's going to be a really good, really cool album rollout. I think it comes out in June. So.
Yeah, it's a ways away when I was looking at like what the upcoming releases are for next year, and I feel like it's still a ways off. So I'd be guessing we're going to get at least another single to review in the meantime.
Definitely 1, probably 2, and yeah, I'm here for it. I'm very very excited for new Porcupine Tree. I actually only found them last year, so you're not too far behind.
Is Butt Rock getting good, or are we getting old?
Yes. I really think that's the answer, man. It's funny because I was in a comment thread, and I was talking about how I used to only listen to metal that had screaming in it, like some of the really heavier stuff, and I don't know what opened my eyes, but something opened my eyes to the fact that you can sing and have really like beautiful vocals and still be like super fucking heavy. And so yeah, I'm just kind of exploring that new soundscape. So
I love it.
Yeah, man. So yes, Butt Rock is getting good, and we're getting old, which is a lot of fun. But,
yay.
All right. So I threw this next one on kind of just for fun. It was released on Halloween. It's just a really cool, kind of neat, just fun little Halloween song.
Yeah, it's a cool remix of the Halloween theme. The movie, the Halloween theme, if anyone listening isn't curious. Right away, I was like, did R.L. Grime use this in the Halloween mix this year? Is that possible? Even still a thing?
You know, I didn't check SoundCloud, and that's funny because this is probably the first year that I didn't, and I think I forgot, John. I forgot.
Not looking good for R.L. Grime. You got to release something, dude. Get on the radar again.
So this band is actually cool. We reviewed their album, maybe even pre this podcast, but it was an album they released last year. This band is wildly interesting. I challenge anybody listening, and you, John, to go just put on one of their earlier albums from the 90s and determine if it's the same band at all, because it is. It's real weird.
I'll check it out. I'll throw some on my listen to next.
I definitely recommend it. All right. Will do. Moving on, we have Loon with My Meds. Fucking banger,
you
man.
You can just say My Meds. We don't have to internet slang.
All right. This is a fucking banger, dude.
Our notes are the same. Another banger. Oh my God. I'm sorry about that. That was my vegetable lasagna timer from earlier, in case anybody was wondering. But
is it ready?
It is ready, and it's already eaten. So win all around. But it's funny because I liked what you showed me of hers to begin with, and this is just building on that, and it's very similar sonically. I don't want to compare her to Rez because she's a girl, but Rez? Like,
yeah.
Do you hear it?
I definitely hear some Rez, but I hear, what's funny is I always thought that Rez's music was kind of lightheartedly dark, and I think that this is more dark,
dark-heartedly light.
Yeah. So it's just kind of it's kind of the same, but it's also different. Where's that gif from the interview with James Franco going same but different? Yeah, I'm actually really excited for more releases from her. This is the alter ego of Lights. My little sister, shout out to Nikki, went ahead and showed me this alter ego, and man, I'm really digging literally all of the releases. So
yeah, it slaps.
Alrighty. Another one of my favorites. We have Maceo Plex with Revision featuring Giovanni. This is a groovy techno song track.
Yeah, it's a really good song. It's getting harder and harder to tell the difference between house and deep house, but I think Maceo Plex like has a good blend of both, and this is a great example of that.
Yeah, he's got his 2 feet in three different circles at all times, which I think is really neat. I think he does a really good job of it.
Yeah, I love not being able to pin an artist down like that.
If you get a chance to see Maceo Plex, you and everybody else listening, go see him. He
Go
is
see him.
very good. All right. Looks like coming up next, I wanted to send you a challenge. You had said that you weren't a big fan of Matt and Kim, so I went ahead and threw Matt and Kim on here. Probably one of their most famous songs. I think it probably is their most famous song. It's called Daylight. What did you think?
I have heard this song. In Pat, not in a while, but it did sound familiar to me.
Yeah, it's an old song.
I don't think that they're my thing at the moment, but I can see what people like about them now because they kind of remind me of Sherwood, if you remember Sherwood
Of
from.
course, I remember
Yes,
Sherwood.
I'll wait
Wow,
for
that's
you.
a throwback.
Yeah, they have like that poppy feel like Sherwood does, and they have
Yeah.
that kind of infectiousness. Um, Kind of like the Mowgli's a little bit too. Like it's very infectious pop, and it's a little chanty, but it's fun. But I don't know, it's not my thing overall. Like I don't flock back to the sound, but I can appreciate where you're coming from.
Yeah, and I really like their energy. I think that that's really what I wanted to show you is that this song, this band, this energy is all throughout their songs, and that translates in a big way live. So just kind of wanted to show that to you.
Yeah, a lot of the music we'll talk about today, I think energy will be kind of a common theme throughout.
You know, November just had a good energy about it. Has had already. It's only the 15th as we're
I
recording,
know.
but it's had a pretty good energy to it. Speaking of challenges, I think we've got. I just threw all these challenges on you here. Pig and Dan. We talked about one of their songs last month. You said you hadn't really heard about them. I threw Growler on here. Tell me about what your thoughts were, John.
I thought it was pretty good. It's nothing like crazy. It's very minimal, but that's also because it's modular. So I thought it was good. I think Modular Baptism is one of the greatest album titles I've ever seen.
It's so good.
Major props for that. I skimmed the rest of the album. It's all pretty good.
It's good. It's all the same, but it's good. It's a little different.
Not quite Boys Noise modular, but very good.
No, not quite. Not quite. All right, so I told you to take Pumped Up Kicks and get it out of your face and out of your ears, and I threw some of my favorite Foster the People songs on there from that era, that album Torches.
Hmm.
What'd you think?
I was really impressed. I've never heard any of these
I
songs,
told you.
and I was really surprised. You're right, like much better songs than Pumped Up Kicks. I'm surprised that one is the one that kind of got them big in the mainstream.
Dude, Helena
Houdini's
Beat is just and Houdini. They're all bangers, dude. Like,
yeah. Don't Stop was probably my least favorite of the three, but it's not a bad song by any means. But
No.
Houdini and Helena Beat, both fantastic songs.
Great.
I can see why people like them.
I'm glad you enjoyed them. I was it's so funny because yeah, people when they think Foster the People, they think Pumped Up Kicks, and I don't even think they like that song. Like as a
No,
band.
they almost remind me of like a modern Cartel a little bit. Like it's well produced pop rock in a way that you don't hear too often.
I don't know, man. Chroma, is that the album from
Yes.
Cartel? Yeah.
Yes.
That's a special place in my heart, that album. Alrighty. Moving on to some new music that's not a challenge. Well, maybe it is for you. Alt J put out Get Better.
Yeah, very much a challenge for me. It's so I thought this was a well written song. Like I'm not going to be ignorant about that. I'm
It's
just not
beautiful.
really into his music or voice, but
Okay.
great songwriter.
All right. We'll see. We are going to review the album, so
Definitely.
we'll see what you think.
I would expect no less.
I'm a fan of theirs, man. They make some good music, I think.
We'll see.
Yeah, this is a heartbreaking song. Next up, we've got Senses Fail with a new album announcement and a new single called "I'm Sorry I'm Leaving," and this is good.
I'm torn on this one. Like I don't dislike it, but it feels much less like Senses Fail does than their last album.
Yeah. That's why I didn't say it was great. Or, I mean, let's be honest. Nothing is ever going to come up. Nothing that this band releases is ever going to live up to "Let It Enfold You" or "Still Searching." Those albums are just classic, and I like the rest of their music, but it's never touched me like those albums have.
I thought that If There's Light, It Will Find You in 2018 was their best album since those albums, though. And so I was kind of looking for more of a resurgence, but this kind of feels like more of like, not that Taking Back Sunday Jonas cover, but new Taking Back Sunday in the sense that they're just like not those dudes anymore. Like they're going to start making a little bit different stuff. But a few months ago, they were releasing screamo type stuff too, so who knows. I just might not like this song.
I think that 2018 album, that was a weird era for them, if I remember correctly, and I'm just pulling this out of my ass here, so forgive me, but I remember reading an interview, and I think the lead singer, I forget his name, was really
Buddy.
Yeah, was kind of weird about trying to be the heaviest band with a gay frontman, or something along those lines, and it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Like, why would you want to only make music that's heavy because of that? I don't know. It just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But I did
Interesting.
enjoy the album.
Didn't they do an album release in like Palm Springs that we didn't even know about?
It was Joshua Tree, the same spot where Rufus Du Sol.
Oh, and they
did.
released an album.
Yeah, they did. They played a live set, which I think is pretty cool. I gotta say I don't like how trendy Joshua Tree is becoming. Um,
Everyone's U2 fans, man.
Nobody's a U2 fan. However,
We all had the fucking album on our iPhone.
well, maybe you should consider getting a better phone. I haven't had an iPhone since 2013. Yeah, I watched like that one song. I think I sent you like half of like they did two albums front to back. They did "Let It Enfold You" and "Still Searching" front to
Mhm.
back in Joshua Tree, which is cool. I really like that musicians are kind of drawn to that place. It really is a special place. But I've also been reading some LA Times articles about everybody telling everybody in Joshua Tree to go back to LA, which I think is hilarious. If anybody's ever spent time in the Joshua Tree city, not the park itself, then you might understand why that's funny.
That's very similar to like Slab City and Salvation Mountain too.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, let's be real. Joshua Tree, the city, it's for methamphetamine. I mean, that's
Yes.
what you do in Josh. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Anybody listening from Joshua Tree, I love your city.
Good night.
Alrighty. Moving on here, we have a new single from a band called Foals with "Wake Me Up."
I thought the song's really good. That like we were talking on earlier, it's really the energy in their music that makes
Yep.
it almost like relentlessly infectious. But this is really good.
Yeah, I really like Foals. Well, let me qualify that, I guess. I really like Foles' music. They played at Coachella one year, and I think I was watching the live stream, and Jason Bentley was interviewing them, and he was like, "So what does it feel like to be at Coachella? Are you guys stoked?" And they were like, "It's okay if you like that sort of thing." And it's like, bro, you're sub headlining. Your fans are there. Why would you dish on the festival that people paid hundreds of dollars to come see you at?
Yeah, bro, you're being paid to play this.
Right, like a lot of money probably. Like they were sub headlining. I'm pretty sure they were second line down. Like that's a
That's
big
crazy. Yeah.
that's a big thing. But I love their music. I just can't help but think of that about every time I hear a song from them. I just can't help but think about that interview because Jason Bentley was even taken back. He was like, all right, well, tell us about your album."
That's hilarious. Props
Yeah.
to them for not giving a fuck about Coachella, but
Fair.
you should probably give a fuck about your fans.
Yeah, I think that's real. I really like their music. Are you a fan of Foles? Have you listened to them in the
I
past?
had never heard them before this. I
Oh,
skimmed
no
a little
way.
of their music after hearing this song because I was like, "Oh, this is good shit. I should look into them a little bit."
It's
read,
all
like,
this
they're
sound.
about me. Yeah, yeah, no, it's consistent.
It's good.
Definitely worth looking into.
It's good indie music. I'm a big fan.
Is this a new album rollout or just a single?
It is a new album rollout. They have announced a new album. I don't have the name right in front of me, but they have definitely announced a new album, and we'll definitely be reviewing it. I'm a fan of theirs.
Turtley.
Turtle for shark, bro. Alrighty. Moving on, we have Charlie
If
X.
anybody gets that reference, you get a free plain blue T-shirt. Just find me on Twitter.
For real. I won the plain blue T-shirt. All right.
Look how blue it is.
Oh no. Alrighty. We have moving on Charlie XCX with Good Ones and New Shapes.
What do you know
songs.
about Charlie XCX?
I know next to nothing. I've seen the name 1,000 times, and I have.
Do you know the
heard...
song? Do you know the song Boom Clap?
Yes, I've heard Boom Clap.
Okay, so that was kind of her debut single, and when that came out, Katie and I both rolled. Katie is my wife, for anybody listening. Beautiful woman. And we both rolled our eyes because it was like instantly it felt just so generic and like, oh, my parents paid for me to be a pop star type of single. And I was like, right away, this girl's not going to make it. And like, she went off my radar after that quickly. And then a few years later, she released an album called Pop 2. And like, I was in just a weird space that day. And I was like, I've seen this album getting like some critical acclaim. Maybe I'll check it out. And I played it. And like, I was like, this shit's really fucking good. Like, I'm like, like the production's good. The first song has Carly Rae Jepsen on it. And I was like, this is good. What the fuck is going on?
Okay. I'm sorry. Call Me Maybe is a fucking banger.
Well, have you heard? Okay, so throw Pop 2 on your listen to next now.
I'll do it right now.
You're gonna love that album. And then so that's kind of like one of my favorite pop albums of the last decade for sure. Top 15 minimum off the top of my head. And she followed that up, I think last year during the pandemic with an album called, I think, Just Charlie, like a self-titled type of thing. Yep. And that had a few really good songs, and one of those featured the Christine and the Queen singer as well. And so I think she's kind of finding her sound. It's a little bit derivative of Dua Lipa and that whole like retro 80s pop type sound, but I don't think it's bad. So
I kind of like it better than Dua Lipa, to be completely upfront. I really loved the instrumentals on both of these songs, and these are fun. These are upbeat. They're enjoyable. It's good pop.
That makes sense because I think her instrumentals are a little bit more dance club focused versus like high art radio pop focused. So I could see it connecting with you a little more than Dua Lipa for sure.
Yeah, it's funny. I don't know why I feel the need to defend popular pop singers, but I'll never forget. I was driving back from Tucson, Arizona, and it was a long drive, and I just bought my car. So this was 2011, and it came with the free 3 months of satellite radio, right?
Yeah.
So I had BPM on, as one does on long drives, and and I'll never forget hearing Carly Rae Jepsen on BPM on Sirius XM satellite radio. And thinking, wow, this is a great song. And because it was on BPM, I guess maybe it put me in that kind of zone where I was hearing electronic dance music, and I thought that it was a good song. I thought that it was a good dance song. And then I started hearing it on the radio as a pop song, and everybody got sick of that song, obviously. But I really still maintain that the first time I heard that song, I was seriously impressed.
Yeah, that's an undeniably catchy song, whether or not you roll your eyes at the artistry of it or not. Kind of like early Lorde stuff,
Yeah.
But I think there is a place for it, and I think her album comes out first quarter next year sometime. I don't have the exact date in front of me, but we'll be reviewing it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to hear it. Alrighty, I think we have Lauren. You're gonna have to help me with her last name.
Featuring, I have no idea. Jaraguay.
I think Jaraguay. Jaraguay could be a soft J. Featuring Six Lack, which is. God, I hate that name.
Say it however you want. The check's cashed the same.
All right, so I really love the trade-offs here. There's great harmonies, which actually surprises me. I thought that Six Lack does like rap, like trap rap. Does he have a history of shit like this, or is this something new for him?
No, this is completely the norm. So his first album, Free Black, came out in 2016. Had a very much aggressive warehouse trap sound to it, but it's very much R&B throughout it. Like
Oh,
it's not
neat.
like Playboy Cardi or anything. It's an R&B album, just the beats, especially Problems,
Got
which
it.
is probably his most popular song, solo song, is like indicative of that. But he followed that album up with East Atlanta Love Letter a couple of years later, I think 2018, and that one has much more of a traditional R&B sound, but it's still very much Atlanta R&B, similar to the Summer Walker album we'll be talking about a little bit later. He, more than all of that though, is just one of the most consistent features in R&B. This guy does a feature almost every other week, and he seems to bring out like these great performances out of seemingly unknown up and coming artists almost all the time, and give the songs like a polish you wouldn't really expect. So I would say anytime you see him featured on a song, it's at least worth like hitting play on to see if sonically it's your thing, because he brings this to almost every feature he does.
Nice, nice. Yeah, this was enjoyable.
For sure. Yeah. I'm excited for him to like finally start releasing more music of his own. He really hasn't since we've started doing this, but he's a really cool artist, and I'm excited to talk about him a little more later.
Neat. Alrighty, so we've got next we have Omar Apollo featuring Kali Uchis with Bad Life. I liked this. I didn't love it.
That makes sense. So Omar Apollo, I think we talked about a single of his that he had a
We did.
couple months ago called Go Away. This is very similar. It's just him coasting on the smoothness of his voice and the falsetto. It's
Yep.
very, like, he's very good at that. They're both very young, him and Kaliushis. They're both bilingual. They've collaborated on his last album, Apollo, I think is how it's pronounced. So it's cool to see them both like staying like in touch, at least musically, and trying to keep releasing stuff as they like grow together. I could see a full collab album eventually, given both of their strengths are similar. But I just wish Callie had a bigger part in this song.
Yeah, that may be why I didn't love it because I
Yeah, it
like
felt
Kali.
tacked on.
I like
It felt
Kali.
tacked on. Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, yeah, we'll keep a lookout. Hey, when is your when are you seeing Kali again?
I think it's next March, next spring
Oh
sometime.
wow, that's a long time from now. Okay,
Yes,
I thought it was this quarter. Yeah, that's a long time.
it is.
Well, hey, at least you got the tickets, man.
Yeah, and
Alrighty.
they're protected in case we have another worldwide pandemic shut down everything.
That can't happen. I already told you I was going to talk to the organizers of the next one to make sure that you get to go see some Alan Raymond. All right.
Oh, that's right. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I got you. All right, moving on. We have Post Malone featuring The Weeknd. Well, it's never featuring The Weeknd. I've noticed it's always with The Weeknd. So maybe he like co-writes it or something. I don't know. It's weird,
I think
but
it's just probably a bigger percentage of the streaming credits. It's
got
like
it.
an artist credit versus a feature credit.
Well, I like Posty, and I really like this one. The Weeknd is a little too filtered, though. He's not normally this auto-tuned, filtered or whatever. It's his voice is kind of awesome without that shit, and it just kind of
Oh, one of the best R&B singers of the last 10 years has a pretty awesome voice without being drenched in auto tune.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, John.
Imagine that. Imagine that. Imagine if he just went back to doing that. I think that this is a fine radio song, but it's generic as fuck, and it sounds like every radio dance pop song that The Weeknd is on. It's a pass for me, but like I could see other people enjoying it because like I was just speaking well about Charlie XCX's song, and that's not far off from this. It's just I don't know, man. I like The Weeknd, the R&B singer, more than I like The Weeknd, the pop star. Not to say I don't like The Weeknd, the pop star. After Hours was a great album, but I there was a time, I think, post Kissland, where his features were like an event. They were like Kendrick Lamar things. They were People
Yep.
used to carve out half a song for him. He had a song with, I think his first few features were one with Wiz Khalifa, and I can't remember the name of the song. And then he had one with Rick Ross called In Vain. And those are what I'm looking for on a weekend feature. And I haven't gotten that in a long time. So I'm always a little disappointed, but he's going to make a fuckload of money off this. So props to him.
Yeah, can't really blame him for chasing that paper. He's good at
Nope.
that.
He is very good at that.
Alrighty, we've got Fearmonger by Saba featuring
Saba. I don't know.
Dowd. Dowd.
Darude. Sandstorm. So I think Saba's been featured on a few songs that we've talked about, but I don't think we've ever talked about a Saba song in particular. His last album, Care for Me, had a very like dark tone to it, and it was really good. The song Life on there was a fantastic song. You should, if you're interested in any more Saba or where he's coming from, I would definitely throw that song on your listen to next. But
Life.
he announced a new album. Yes, Life. And I think this is the first single on it. I believe this song is kind of just about the struggles of celebrity and what you want out of the goals you're chasing. And it's a little lighter in tone than his last album. Like I said, it was very dark, but I'm interested to see what's next, because his flow is for sure locked in, and he sounds really good when he just gets going like he does on this song.
Yeah, this is good music, John. I really, really liked this. I love that funky guitar. It's good music.
I figured for a lot of the hip hop we've kind of bonded over, that this one would be a slam dunk for you.
Yeah, I like this one. This is a good one.
Good.
New album coming out. I'm excited to review it. It's going to be good.
Yeah, I'll keep you posted when I actually see a release date for it.
To switch gears, something I'm not excited to review, we've got Travis Scott with Escape Plan, which is, God, that is a bad
Escape
title.
Plan and Mafia.
I know.
Do you want to talk about the song first, or do you want to talk about the incident?
Let's talk about the song.
Okay.
So Escape Plan isn't bad. Mafia is okay. It's just kind of not my thing, man. I've talked about my my aversion to Travis Scott, if you will. Trap beat over nonsensical lyrics just kind of don't do it for me. The beat on Mafia is good.
Is that the extent of your notes?
That's literally all of my notes.
Okay. So do you like any Travis Scott songs?
You know, I liked a couple of songs off of Astro World. I'm not gonna lie. And then I do enjoy the song Goosebumps. That's a neat, catchy little jingle,
I think music and art is subjective. Sicko Mode and Goosebumps are objectively very good songs. There's very few people that will hear those and be like, these aren't good. Like, you walk away with that earworm when you listen to those, and you can see how those songs blew up. How he as an artist got to where he's at, I'm not really sure. Like, I'm not surprised by it, but I don't personally connect with it. These two songs in particular sound like an AI bot was forced to listen to 12 hours of Travis Scott and write a song afterwards. Like, everything he does musically is just so copy and paste now. But I'm not the type of fan he's trying to appeal to either. So I'm not really lost on that. Speaking of Astro World, I'm sure you've heard it front to back. There are a few album cuts on there where he's not this Travis. That particularly the last song, Coffee Bean, on that album is easily my favorite Travis Scott song. It's no gimmicks. It's a very down tempo beat and very much sonically my thing. And so I know that he has that in him, but I also know he's not very incentivized to appeal to that side of his fan base anymore.
So I will tell you that I agree with your statement with Goosebumps and Sicko Mode being objectively good songs. Here's my problem with Sicko Mode. They did Drake wrong. He has like his like that first verse where I'm like, what, like that, what? It just kind of stops and then that's it. And then it like continues with a different verse with a different beat at the back of that song. And while I really love progressive music, I don't think that that's progression. I think that that's just, here's two songs in one. Both are Drake features.
I'll agree with that. But that song, a big part of that song's not success, because the song itself did that, but a big part of that song's lore is, I don't know if you remember, but there's that video of Travis getting that verse like a few hours before the album came out. And this is before this was kind of a tired trope in hip hop now. And it's him in his kitchen with like a few guys listening to it on his phone and just like losing it, especially when Drake says the stripes over checks, the Adidas over Nike thing.
Yeah.
Or vice versa, I think. My bad.
Checks over stripes. Yep.
Yeah, sorry. And like it just seemed like a really genuine it just seemed like a really genuine moment, and like you could see how people were connecting. And then he started getting these headlining festival gigs after that shit and became known for like these kind of bombastic performances that unfortunately led to the incident in Astro World just a few weeks ago, in which now 10 people have died. I think over 300 have been injured. I don't really want to spend too much time talking about it, but you and I have been to many different concerts of many different genres. I think you and I both know the feeling that a lot of those crowd people were talking about, where you're in the surge. You're a part of the ocean. You're a drop in it. You don't control where you're going at a certain point. Your feet are off the ground. You're sandwiched between that many people. And it's a terrifying feeling if there's no harmony bringing you all together, you know? And I can't really speak to the hype culture now and what fueled what happened to where you, like I said, you and I felt that feeling, but it was the cheesiest shit ever. But every band when we were coming up had the same slogan. If somebody falls down, you do what? Pick them back up. That's Concerts 101. How he never implored that in his fan base. And it's just, he can say whatever he wants. There's too much evidence, man. He's incited riots. He told a fucking guy to jump off a balcony that's now paralyzed at a show. Like, everyone will catch you. Don't fucking listen to this McDonald's jackass telling you this on stage. Like, I don't know, man. I guess suing him is a profitable thing now. I know a lot of these families that with dead ones don't want to do it, but everything about him is commodified. Fights at his concert have started because people have tried to rip his shoes off. He's the one fueling this energy, and I don't think he has anybody to blame but himself. And I would be very wary of anybody accepting a refund for that concert, because you're essentially going to be signing away your right to any due process. And this motherfucker has the money and the sponsors to pay for all the wrong and pain he's caused, and he should do at least that. You have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I do. I don't want to spend too much time talking about it, like you said, but you kind of hit basically all the real points. I mean, I can see suing Live Nation. I can't really see suing him personally, regardless of what he said or did at that specific show or at other shows where he has incited riots and shit like that. Like, obviously, if he incited a riot, arrest him. I think he's been arrested and convicted or pled out of that kind of stuff. Here's my thing. I think that there might be a little bit of lapse in the culture, that combined with the no-shows for a long time and most of his fans being on the younger side of things, younger side of age, might not know the rules of the concert, which is if somebody falls down, pick them up. Mosh pits at a rap show are kind of a new thing. It's just kind of a new thing. I've never been in a mosh pit at a rap show before, and I've been to a handful of rap shows. I've been to, what would you say, maybe 200 concerts in my 300 maybe?
Yeah, 200 to 300.
Used to go to a lot of shows.
My guess was in there. I would say combined at least 500 between us.
Yeah, for sure. I have been scared in a crowd once. Now, I'm a big dude, but like you said, I've been in large crowds where the people kind of flow like water. There's a great write-up on Crowd Crushes, which is how these kind of human stampedes happen, and it is very much like a river. And humans in large enough numbers start to act like a liquid. And a very heavy, dangerous liquid at that. I was at a Coachella, and it was 2014, and it was Lana Del Rey's set. And I will never forget how I felt in that moment. I was scared. I had my little sister with me. I had my wife with me, my now wife. She was my girlfriend at the time. I had my buddy, who also happened to be a pretty big guy, with me. And luckily, we saw danger. We felt danger, and we turned around and just plowed through people getting out. We just needed to get out. We kind of went the opposite direction of where everybody was going, and that is, number one, dangerous, but number two, it was fight or flight at that point. It was get the fuck out of there. We kind of chose both. We decided to go towards the Sahara tent, where Empire of the Sun was playing, and it was like everybody at the festival was at one of those shows, either of those shows. It was like Empire of the Sun or Lana Del Rey, and we got stuck in a gridlock there, and we needed to get the fuck out of it. I felt bad for people stuck in that show, stuck in those crowds. It was awful. And I've been in giant crowds, right? I mean, think about 2015 Cascades set at Coachella, which is now second to Beyonce, of largest crowds in Coachella history. 85,000 people were at that show. It's a great set. I'm going to throw the link to that whole drone footage set in the show notes. It's a beautiful set. But I felt entirely safe in that crowd. There was not a bad vibe in that crowd, but for some reason, some artists, some group of people maybe starts this kind of overzealousness, and it gets pushed along. And for anybody listening, anybody that goes to a concert, please do me a favor. If you see somebody fall down, pick them up. It is just that simple. If the energy is that person's on the ground and I'm gonna keep going, that energy from you will spread, and it will turn into something that's not very pretty. So please, when you're at shows, be respectful, pick people up. There's a way to party and also make sure everybody's safe. I've done it 500 times. You know, like I've done it 300 times. There's no reason to not do it. So, all of that being said, Live Nation, owned by Ticketmaster, is a garbage company. Do everything you can to not support that business. And also, if anybody was at Astroworld and they're listening, please go through your due process and do what you feel is right for yourself. But my heart goes out to all of the victims, especially the 9-year-old. I forget his name right now, but it sucks. That story is awful.
It's crazy that we just hit the anniversary of the Limp Bizkit Woodstock 99 set. And
I know.
We had a documentary about it, and everyone, like, you would think would learn from it. And
right.
No, we just literally repeated history like we always do.
Well, and it has a lot to do with venues, because I think the Woodstock venue and this venue in Houston, I think we're just not prepared for that amount of crowds. And with both artists being very rowdy artists and encouraging people to go and fuck shit up, the combination of that, poor organization, and humans wanting to party, and it's crazy. I will say one thing though, and I can throw it in the show notes if you want. If not, I can just say it and forget it. But I guess Travis Scott's old manager is on record saying that he literally programmed a bunch of SoundCloud bots to go listen to his music after he dropped his first mixtape, which led to him getting signed for the first time. And basically, it was just a bunch of bots that made him popular for the first time, which is kind of par for the course. It's kind of like not even unexpected at this point, you know?
Yeah, I've heard some jokes. Art, like other rappers, tell me about the machine. How do you get the Spotify machine? I need it. Yeah, hopefully, I don't doubt that shit's happening. Everything's corrupt, man. That's the world we live in, sadly, and everyone's gonna cheat the system in any way they can, but all of it becomes irrelevant once you get to the point he's at.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anybody's listening, just spread some happiness. The world needs some more of that, and spread some respect, and spread some good old fashioned kindness at the next show you go to.
Be plur.
Hey, for real though, like that's again. I've only been scared at one show, and it was terrifying. I can only imagine what went through these people's heads at this show. So.
I don't think I've ever been scared for myself, but I did watch a guy get his nose broke right in front of me at a Day to Remember pit, and it was like the sound will stick with me forever. Like I've never heard
Crack.
a bone. Dude, it was so loud. Like my
Oh
friend just
yeah,
turned
it's
to me
loud.
like, "Oh my God." And that dude didn't even fall. He just turned around and walked right out holding his face. Like it was insane. I miss those days. But even
Adrenaline is
then,
one hell of a drug.
but what was great back then is if some assholes running around the perimeter of a pit trying to punch people not in it, they're going to get their ass kicked really fucking quick.
Yeah, I was at a I was at a Silverstein show and Beartooth opened for them, and it was a rowdy pit. It was at the House of Blues. There was only a few hundred people there, but the people that were there were ready to fucking party, and and I love that, right? But Beartooth stopped their song in the middle of a fucking breakdown and said, "You, the guy that just threw the fucking punch, get out of the club." Security came and got him, went out. That's kind of respect. And what I really love is that they just started the breakdown all over again. So,
Gotta love it.
gotta love it. All right, let's move on from this garbage and let's talk about some good music.
Do it.
We've got Bob Moses with Time and Time Again. They're back. These guys are ultra cool. I love this fucking band. And bring it on. I'm just a huge fan of these guys.
Yeah, I like it. Really solid track. The way they structure their songs and like the way they kind of go about writing them and recording the vocals and mixing them, it reminds me of like Prime Armin, but deep house.
Yes. I didn't put that together, but then now that you say it, I really super agree with that. I'm gonna go ahead. They did a set on the top of some really neat building in San Diego. I'm gonna
Of
throw
course
that in
they
the
did.
show notes. I mean, they're cool. They're cool cats, man. I've seen them one, two, three times. They're good band live.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty, we've got completely changing gears here. We've got Slipknot with the Chapeltown Rag. It's heavy and weird. Those are my notes.
I just wrote, "Yep, sounds like Slipknot." Corey Taylor's like way of screaming is so unique to him, but they still sound great. Props to them.
Yeah, I will say I was disappointed when I finally got to see them. I've been listening to Slipknot since I was 13, and when somebody gave me their burned copy of Iowa to put in my Discman, and I finally got to see them in 2019 for the first time, and god damn, that guy's fucking annoying on stage. Let me see your hands. Let me see you. No, dude, just fucking play Iowa, man. Like,
Just play fucking I. I'm waiting to bleed, bro. Come on,
just
hurry
come
up.
on, man. Play
Is
Disaster
this
Piece and get off the fucking stage.
is this? I'm actually a what was that one album? I'm a fan of the Pussy album. What was it called?
Volume 3, Subliminal Verses.
Yes, thank you. You knew right away. I'm a fan of the Bitch album.
I loved
Um,
that album. People are stupid.
yeah, I agree. Is
That
this the
album's heavy
first
as fuck.
song post Clown Mask Death?
I believe so.
Good shit. They still sound the same.
Yeah, I think they have a new guy called Tortilla Face.
Great.
Yes.
Fantastic. We we need more Guar-like energy in this world.
I'm not gonna lie, man. I fucking love that shit, dude. Oh man. R.I.P. Joey Jordison. That guy will forever be one of the best drummers to have ever lived.
Definitely. R.I.P. Legend.
Yeah, legend for sure. Legend. I was just gonna say something else. All right. Anyway, moving on. We have again changing gears. We have an EP from Ramses. I Feel Nothing. There's 3 songs. They're pretty neat, man. This is fantastic techno. Born to Fail is fucking neat.
Yeah, it's so I didn't know it when they released that remix of Klangstoff earlier, but I assumed it. This is 2 of the guys from Klangstoff. And
Yep.
yeah, so I thought it'd be a little bit more dancey all around. It's more of an experimental project than anything, I think.
Dig
But
it.
yeah, I support them. Whatever they choose to do, I'm along for the ride. They're incredibly talented musicians, and this is an interesting group of tracks to start with.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just goodness. Just goodness.
I agree. We'll keep an eye on you, Ramses.
Please. All right. Again, man, we're just switching gears to switch gears to switch gears. I threw this one on Murder Music by Snoop Dogg featuring Benny the Butcher, Busta Rhymes, and Jadakiss. And
What year is it?
I know, man. This is absolutely fan fucking tastic, man. This is all of these guys at their best, in my opinion.
I I'm not going to disagree with you. I do think that this is all of them, and I think they're all sharp. I just think the sound has not aged well in all regards. I think the very dark, like murder raps from the late 90s do have a certain nostalgic note that they hit like inside of all of us. But like the thing I love most about the song is just seeing Benny get to spit with a bunch of legends. And that's enough for me. But I probably won't go back to this. Snoop does still release a fuckload of music. Some of it's good, some of it's not. I think this is in between.
He's got a new album coming out, actually.
He always has a new album coming out.
I don't know, man. I really liked this one. I like the late '90s murder gangster rap, like fucking Brother Lynch Hung and shit. Like, come on, man, that shit is cheesy and awesome.
I like it. Like I love 2001. I went, oh my God. So I think yesterday was the 18th anniversary of G Unit's Beg for Mercy mixtape. And I threw it on yesterday because a buddy of mine from high school tagged me in like the post when it got shared. And I was like, dude, like it like was one of those like fucking Ender Ratatouille moments where like the guy bites the thing and flashes back to his childhood. Like I was like, I haven't even seen this like album cover. And I clicked Poppin' Them Things right away.
Of course, as one
of probably the last great Dr. Dre beats. Those keys are still phenomenal. Stunt 101, my buddy, amazing mixtape. Oh my God. If anybody listening has not heard it and would like to revisit a time where 50 Cent was somehow the biggest rapper on the planet, go back and listen to that. It's amazing.
I think they played, it was either Stunt 101 or Poppin' Them Things on SNL. And I think it was 2006. Was that was that the year that came out? 2003?
No, I think that came out like somewhere 3 or 4. I think I'm there.
Well, they played SNL. I'm going to try to find it and throw it in the show notes. And if anybody has a plug on some G Unit Reeboks that are in decent condition, I will trade you a pair of Dunks for it. Let's go.
Fun fact, there is a Twitter page called Celebrities Introducing SNL Guests, and it's just the clip of the celebrity introducing SNL guests. And I'm pretty sure that the G Unit one is Nick Lachey and Jessica Simpson introducing them. It's hilarious.
All right. Well, I have to mention that my favorite one is Christopher Walken introducing the Foo Fighters.
That one's great.
He says, ladies and gentlemen, the Foo Fighters.
Yes, as only he can. And another legend one is Patrick Stewart saying salt and pepper. It's the best, dude. All of this started because when Daniel Craig hosted, The Weeknd was the musical host. And so there's one of the introductions he does where he's like, ladies and gentlemen, The Weeknd. And it's like very like, there's something about the way he says it. And like somebody posts that on Twitter every Friday night, like to introduce the actual weekend of your week.
That's hilarious.
And it's become just this huge thing. So now just
that's
like
amazing.
People have been revisiting those clips and they're pretty funny.
That's amazing, man. Yeah. You know, some people are saying that SNL isn't funny, man, but one of the funniest ongoing jokes in that is when The Weeknd performs, they always do a weekend update. And it's always just, hey, man, how you doing? He goes, I'm good. That's it.
Yeah. This season's been good. I like the new writers. I like the new team. I think they're going in a good direction. But that's for another podcast.
Yeah, if we're going to talk about SNL, Kyle Mooney. That guy's hilarious. All right.
Yeah, oh my God.
Moving on. We've got Reggie Snow with Arigato. You introduced me to Reggie Snow, and I really liked the album that I ended up reviewing. I think it was a few months ago. It might have even been like 6 months ago or something like that. And
not even that long. Very recently.
Was it?
Yeah, like I don't know, 2 or 3.
Good shit. It was good shit. This is a little weird. I do like it though.
Yeah, he's very confident in his voice, and that comes across. Like he's very cavalier. He knows that his bars are going to hit if you're a fan of him. He's a little bizarre, but I think he found like the right sounds to build off to play to his strengths. Like sonically, this is very much in line with that last album.
Yeah, for sure. I dig it.
Me too.
Cool, man. Moving on, we've got
Benny.
Benny with Doesn't Matter.
Yes.
Her voice sounds so familiar. Have we done any?
So,
Why does her
okay.
voice sound so familiar to me?
So, why would it sound familiar to you? I don't know. You might know Super Lonely. That song's really popular for her. She released an album last year called Hey You X, and I might have texted you at once to like check out. I don't know. That
I
I don't
have a
know if
rule
I
about
did,
that.
but I might have.
I have a rule about that, John. When you tell me to check something out, I check it out.
Then that
So
might be it.
it's probably it.
Yeah, this is an album like my wife and I both found last year, and we both loved the like. It's a front to back album, just really great. There's a lot of great features. It's got Lily Allen, um, Gus Dapperton, a bunch of others, but even just the songs with nobody else are really good. This is a new release for her. It's a little bit slower in tempo, but it focuses more on her voice, and I think really showcases the strengths of it because it's very like kind of captivating in a weird way. I love this song, but also for
It's
our
good.
show notes, she appeared on Kenny Beats YouTube series, The Cave, in which like he creates a beat in like 30 minutes to an hour and somebody kind of freestyles off shit they write on their phone while he's making the beat.
Sick.
And that video is fucking amazing because you'll get her personality, which is fucking crazy. And she's way more just like talented off the cuff than you would imagine. Like she essentially freestyle sings and it's incredible.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely throw that in the show notes so I can watch it and other people can as well.
I just want you to watch it. I don't care about other people, Brandon.
I care about the other people, John. All right, moving
Such
on.
a Democrat.
Can we not? All right, we've got Dead Mouse featuring Foster the People, Hyperlandia, Lamorne remix. This is better than the original.
Are these the pump up kicks, guys? I'm joking. No, I thought this was really good. The name didn't sound familiar, but I clicked on it, and I guess he did one of the Bridged by a Lightwave remixes last year, so I'm sure I've heard of him before.
I'm sure he's a Mousetrap alumni.
Yes, must be because Dead Mouse doesn't really license remixes to non-Mousetrap people unless it's a very big name, and I don't think he is. So this is really good. The way he changes up like the bass line just slightly completely changes the tone of the song. It almost has like a Sebastian like disco break sound to it a little bit, but very
Really
subdued.
good.
Yeah, I love it. We'll have to check out more of his remixes or if he drops like an EP or something.
Yes, absolutely. I definitely agree to that. I really liked this.
Me too.
Moving on, we have God, what fucking year is it, man? We have Simple Plan with The Antidote.
Dead Mouse to Simple Plan. We're switching gears like fucking Tokyo Drift right now, man. This is incredible.
Not double clutching like you should. Or is that too fast?
Hang on, bro. My favorite drinking game is to take a drink every time somebody says dude or bro in Too Fast, Too Furious.
Oh man,
Incredible. Good luck surviving that.
I'm sure, man. I'm
Do
sure.
you remember when we did the White Russian Lebowski thing at your apartment, Brandon?
I remember starting it.
Yeah, I remember starting it too. And then I remember like a minute span where he drinks like 3 of them.
That's one hell of a Caucasian, Jack. Yeah, man, I definitely remember that. There was a bunch of people there that night, and we just decided to every time he drank a White Russian, we drank one, and then every time he smoked a joint, we took a bong load, and that was a mistake. So
Yeah, those two combined were not great for me.
it was a good time.
Yeah, it's a story now. We can look back on it and laugh.
Well, it's half a story. I remember half of the movie that night, so there's that.
It really tied the whole night together, man. That's all I'm gonna say. But yes. So, would you like me to go first, or would you like to go first?
Oh, please take it away, John.
Simple Plan is a fucking terrible band. I'm just gonna say that right away.
Hey,
They are-
Dad, look at me.
So, they've just always come off as extremely posery to me. But my ignorance aside, I'm Just a Kid is a decently good pop punk single. But beyond that, I've just never liked them. Perfect was fucking terrible. And I was like, I'm going to go into this all bias aside, even though I know after my rant there, it probably doesn't sound like I went into it with that
Uh-huh.
mindset.
Sure, bud.
Tell me this doesn't sound like they went back and listened to Boys Like Girls first album and were like, okay, I'm inspired. Like, it doesn't work for me. And don't throw this in our show notes. Please, God, don't taint our show with this. But if people really want to make their ears bleed, they did a performance with a fucking orchestra, and it's on YouTube. And watching those world-class musicians try and like listen to this guy pretend to sing well is the funniest, most cringy thing I've ever seen. So you were saying you loved it, Brandon?
No, I mean, it's very simple plan. I actually enjoyed their album Still Not Getting Any. Shut Up is a decent song. Me Against the World, Crazy, Jump. I did like that album for the era it was in, but they've made the same music for forever. It's just a very simple plan album. I will agree with you that they are massive posers, and they just kind of broke out at the right time for this to get popular. I mean, think about 2004 when they dropped that album Still Not Getting Any. 2004 was just the height of MTV, and Fuse, and everybody was just listening to pop punk and emo bands, and it was just kind of perfect for them to start out like that. And I don't know why this showed up on my release radar. I didn't know that I followed Simple Plan, but apparently I do, so I threw it on here for shits and giggles, and I think we had some giggles, and the song is the shit. So.
Love it. We'll just leave it at that.
Here's to Moving On, which is actually the title of the next song from Dashboard Confessional, which I really enjoyed. I like Dashboard, man. This is a beautiful sentiment. I loved what Dashboard did on Crooked Shadows in 2018. It's actually, I think, my favorite Dashboard Confessional album because of the direction they went with it and how they still stayed true to themselves. And I'm so glad Chris Carrabba decided to survive that motorcycle accident, which is nice. I don't think he decided to. I think he just did. What did you think about this? Are you a Dashboard fan?
No, like I do like the hits, like obviously Vindicated, hands down, huge pivotal songs in both that time in music and the scene in general. So it's hard not to like appreciate that. But like this song, barf. Dashboard is a fucking terrible band. They're poser. No, I'm not gonna go on the same rant. This isn't horrible. It's a well-written song. Okay. Do you know what he looks like now?
No.
Click if you're on Spotify, click their page and scroll down to the very bottom about me. This motherfucker always wears a fucking like weird hat now and has these stupid fucking bangs, and I can't take him seriously in any way, shape, or form.
Of Monsters and Men meets 2006 AFI.
Yes. This is Davey Havoc at a wedding or something. Like I'm not sure what this is, but
yo, can we just for a second? Davey Havoc at a wedding is a great band name.
I'm honestly surprised it's not a side project of his already. He has so fucking many.
Somebody copyright that shit, man. That's hilarious.
Oh man. But yeah, I think it's an okay song. It hits me as a little more Secondhand Serenade than Dashboard though.
Okay, that's fair. I've always liked Dashboard. It's just in during the scene times when everybody was listening to The Used and Senses Fail, and Dashboard was putting out this extremely sentimental music, and I remember sometimes when I was winding down or when I felt real sad, I would put on Bright Eyes and I'd put on Dashboard, and it was just kind of exactly what I needed, and it's nostalgic. I've actually seen them twice. They are very good live, and I highly recommend you listen to Crooked Shadows, their 2018 album. It is good, and it's completely different than anything else they've ever done, which is one of the reasons why my wife and I love it so much. It is a genuinely good emo pop album. It's good shit. I think you'd like it.
Sure. I'll check it out. I'm not going to be ignorant about it. Like I said,
wouldn't
there's some
expect you to
Dashboard
be.
songs I like. Just the way he fucking looks right now. Like if I was drunk and I saw that dude, I'm gonna punch him. Like,
Oh man, don't go to any Travis Scott shows anytime soon. All right.
y'all know what you came to do.
There's some crazy videos from that night.
Imagine being resuscitated while this motherfucker's doing the robot over you. Like,
It's like not even a good robot, dude. No,
no, it's
there's
a terrible robot.
there's a video of some guy throwing a cup that he just peed into the crowd, and he got his ass beat. Like he got his ass handed to him. So that's
As he
one
should.
good thing. Yeah, that's one
Yeah.
good thing that came out of that show. All right, moving on. We've got man, I love this band, Pup with Waiting/Kill Something. God, I love this band, man. They are so much fun. They are just so much fun.
I agree. Both these songs are fucking awesome. Like the style of punk they make is kind of unique. Lyrically, they fucking get it. Like their their music has like an almost live feel to it, you know? Like
Yeah.
it's fucking cool. Really awesome band. The scene's back, baby.
They are currently touring with Cloud Nothings, who I also really
Oh,
love. If they
shit.
come around your neck of the woods, John and anybody else that's listening, please go see them. I have no doubt that you guys will enjoy that show.
I'm surprised you don't have tickets to that show.
I don't think they're coming anywhere around California.
Looks like
Yeah.
you have to move to Portland, damn.
Ah, jeez, man.
Hope you like the rain.
Hope you like the spirit of the 90s.
No, you're a little more San Francisco. Take this nose ring out. Everyone watch
Oh, no.
Portlandia. Amazing
Oh
show.
my god, man! If there's just the scene that comes to my mind every time I think about how weird that
Dinosaur
show is.
Jr.
Is
song.
the Dinosaur Jr. song when they're talking about what music they should play their kindergartners. And it's just
Fred and Carrie are both, I mean, obviously she's in Sleater Kenny. He was in Trenchmouth and stuff. Like they're both such music nerds that show is an endless well of just hilarious things, not just for musicians, but for almost anyone. But the music focused sketches are amongst my favorite, definitely.
and the best part is that you can pickle those. All right, moving on. We've got something from Coheed and Cambria, Rise Nyanasha.
Don't even try it. I don't know.
Cut the cord.
Yeah, let's just call it Cut the Cord.
Yeah, let's just call it that because that's what they say in the song. This is a little different than the last single, which was Shoulders, which had a killer riff in it. These guys are incredible musicians.
Yeah,
That's all I have to say.
Still shred, still that Coheed brand of prog rock, but yeah, a little different than the last single. Still very good though.
Yeah. They did a. You know how they do those rave boats? Well, Coheed and Cambria decided they were going to do a Coheed themed tour, cruise ship, and they did it. And I'm going to throw it in the show notes. My brother-in-law is a huge Coheed and Cambria fan, and he sent me an acoustic song that he performed with his wife. God, why can't I remember his
Did
name
he
right
go
now?
on the cruise?
No, man, tickets were like $6,000 fucking dollars or some bullshit. So no.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think most Coheed fans have cruise money, but
You know, man, there's a market for everything.
I guess.
Um,
Astro World merch.
Fuck, man. Yeah. His dunks aren't even that good, man. They're not even that cool. All right, moving on. We've got an EP from a little band that I have been following for the last couple of years called Beach House. EP is called Once, Twice Melody. I don't know how you feel about Beach House, but I love this shit. It's atmospheric, synthy, indie rock. Big fan of this EP. Every song to me is exactly what you would expect from Beach House.
I don't know too much about them, but I do like those aspects of their music a lot. So not knowing much about them and really only having these 4 songs to go off of so far, like I wasn't super into Once Twice Melody or Superstar, but I liked Pink Funeral and Threw Me a lot more. So I'll have to check them out a little more.
Yeah, I think Depression Cherry is a really good album, and I really liked their last album, which was titled Seven.
I'll throw those on my listen to next.
Yeah, give it a shot. I think you're gonna like it. If you like atmospheric synthy indie rock, that's it's right up your alley.
Fuck yeah.
So we've got next, we've got Mom Jeans, and this is gonna be such a good fucking album, man. This everything
Yeah.
they put out is just banger after banger. Man, the scene really is back.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. I've been since you showed me them and their first few singles they've been rolling out for them. I've been pretty excited for the album. They just like they do a lot of the same things iconic pop punk bands did in the early 2000s without being derivative. Their lyrics are really funny, but they're not a joke necessarily, and they're like specific stories to these people's lives, but they're relatable, and that's really the heart of what pop punk is.
I think being able to tell personal stories and make them relatable is its own skill set.
Exactly. I agree 100%. And it's one that you don't realize how few people have it until you like hear a band that does it so well like this.
Yeah, this album's gonna be just fucking amazing, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Really looking forward to it.
another album I'm looking forward to is we've got the first single from the new album Requiem by Korn, coming out first quarter 2022. I really loved their last album, The Nothing. I think they put that out in 2019, and I don't know, man. I'm just a big Korn fan.
The Vegetable?
Well, yeah, but also the band.
Quick sidebar. There was a funny joke on Twitter because I forget who it was. It might have been one of the Astroworld people, but there was this fucking like lawyer, I guess, that has these like dreadlocks and he has like gray hair and everyone keeps calling him the Cornseler.
Oh my god.
It's so great, dude. It's so fucking hilarious. I'll have to send you the picture.
Please do. We'll throw that in the
but
show notes.
I've never really been a big fan of Korn outside the hits. They fall
No.
into like that specific area of butt rock I'm not into. Like if they're doing the whole da boom naka naka shit, then I'm sure I'll party. But I don't know. This one didn't excite me.
I'm sorry, your mic cut out. Could you do that again? I'm just kidding.
I will never do. Mr. James Halpert.
Oh man, you know what, man? I like Korn. I like that they are a little different than all the other new metal. They kind of emerged with Slipknot late '90s, and I think they are unique for what for the type of music they put out. It's the Nothing. Jonathan Davis had lost his wife, and he wrote some heavy and heart-wrenching lyrics for the last album that they did. And I don't know, man. I guess I just have a soft spot for them. I saw them live with my good buddy Irving, one of my best friends, and he and I severely enjoyed Korn. My little sister was there too. It was a crazy show. They played the one Skrillex remix, which I thought nobody else liked, but I enjoyed it. And yeah, man, I'm a fan. So we're gonna throw the album on here, and I'm gonna make you listen to it.
Do
Deal
it.
with it.
Challenge me, bitch.
Let's do it. All right, something I don't have to challenge you with. We have a Brandon's Face mainstay with Code of the Friend with Face It.
Oh man, I love this one. It starts off a little slow, but like once he gets flowing, this is one of his better grooves. I like the little high pitch harmonies he adds in the back at little like key points in his verse. Can we just please try speaking into existence an Amine and Code of the Friend collaboration?
Oh man, yeah, let's put that into the ethos. Let's go.
Yeah, please give me 10 of those.
Yeah, he's just every single time he drops a song, it's just so poignant and it's so meaningful and it's so fucking beautiful, man. His jazzy kind of just way about him. He's just got this flow that's just it speaks to me.
I agree. I agree. And I'm fine if he doesn't drop another album this year and just keeps doing these kind of one-off singles. I'm enjoying them.
Fuck it, let's start a playlist. We'll call it an album.
There we go.
Oh man, yeah, I'm a big fan of this. Something else I'm a big fan of. I didn't know who Blue the Tiger is, but Blondes. I really like this bass line, man. This is a great song.
Yeah, funny you say that because the girl Blue to Tiger, she plays the bass. That is her thing.
Neat.
Yes. So she does the vocals obviously and plays bass. I think she came up through TikTok. I'm not really sure because I'm not a part of that world. The way she got on my radar is Flight Facilities remixed her song Vintage earlier this year. I think we briefly talked about that, but we
I think
probably
so.
talked about it more as a Flight Facilities remix.
Definitely.
It feels like she kind of, I haven't heard a lot of her solo music outside of that remix, but it feels like she took a lot of like the disco vibes from that remix and put them into this single.
I really
Uh,
liked it. Really
yeah,
liked it.
so far everything I've heard of her has been good, so we'll
Neat.
have to keep an eye on her.
Definitely. I will not be doing that on TikTok. Alrighty. Moving on, we have a Smino with Nas, not Nas, but Nas as in like hit the
Nitrous
Nas. Yeah,
oxide?
hit
Yeah.
the Nas Paul Walker. With I
Ooh, too soon.
Deserve.
Too soon.
Yeah, okay. This is an interesting track. It's actually not my favorite Smino track, but I didn't dislike it. I guess I just didn't really like it.
Interesting. It's I think this one's a grower. I wasn't crazy about it on the first listen, but like I said, it grew on me. He has this weird ability to just make any line sound like it kind of fits in a song, no matter how weird it is. I think this song starts off with him talking about lighting like a joint on like the stove or some shit weird, but he pulls it off. The instrumental's really lo-fi and kind of fits his voice and style. But there's almost like this like 90s Bone Thugs and Harmony thing he gets into when he does that like higher pitch roll with that cadence that he's kind of known for now.
Hmm.
I'm personally a fan, but I could see how other people are like, that's not my thing.
Well, you introduced me to Smino, so I'm definitely going to be on the lookout for more of his music, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, both of his albums so far have been really good, and I think he's only getting better with every release. So we'll see what's next.
Yeah, we'll see what's next, man. Um, Moving on to a song I really enjoyed, "Outlaws" with a Z by Rick Ross, featuring Jasmine Sullivan and 21 Savage. This instrumentation is out of control, man. I love this shit.
Yeah, this shit is fucking immaculate, man. Like all three of them kill this.
Yeah.
Rick Ross's new album is announced, Richer Than I've Ever Been, coming out December 10th. Very great album title.
Do you think he's
I'm a
adjusted for inflation though?
Oh, I think so. I think so. Um, I- so like I'm not a giant Rick Ross fan in the term of like I'm not like eagerly awaiting every album he drops, but I would say over the course of his discography, he's at least known for perfect beat selection. He knows how to just take his time and craft an album. Some songs might not land with you, but there's a consistency to them, and I think the consistent thread through all of it is just like this opulence. Like it all has this shine to it, and not a lot of people can consistently make their music sound this wealthy. That's the only way I
Okay.
know how to put it.
That's fair, man. That's really fair. I like Rick Ross more as a feature than I do as a single artist. However, I'm excited for this album. Let's listen to it and we'll see what happens. Do we have a date yet?
December 10th.
December 10th. Wow, that's soon.
Yeah,
Jeez,
we're getting
man.
it this year.
Fuck. All right. So much music this year, man. It's just been fucking wild.
You know, it's insane.
Oh man. All right. Next up, we had a song I threw on here by a band called Failure. The song is called Headstand. I think we have a new album from them. I don't think it's going to be this year though. I really like Failure. Grunge music is really neat. Love this band. Great song.
Yeah, it's very minimal lyrically, but it has a ton of depth to it. Like that slow, grungy, heavy rock sound. Like it's fucking awesome. And especially the last minute, like I really like the textures that they bring to the instruments, and it fucking clicks. It works well.
Grunge gaze.
Grunge gaze. Love it. Everything is shoegaze.
Oh man.
There was a joke online like a few months ago, and it's like a music reviewer looking through a stethoscope and they're or a telescope, and they're like, "My God, it's not grindcore, it's shoegaze."
Oh man. Oh man. You know,
Pitchfork has just changed everything, haven't
it's so funny, man. Pitchfork. I just clicked on. I just got an email from them a couple days ago. I think it was last week. And it's an album. It was about an album from 1976 by a little guy named Boz Scaggs, and an album called Silk Degrees. And I listen to that album all the time. I have 2 copies on vinyl. I'll mail you one.
I actually have it on vinyl as well. My dad was a giant Boz Scaggs fan and gave me all of his vinyl.
It's a good album. Oh, that's so funny. I thought that I was going to get to mail you something, but apparently you have it. It's a great album. Pitchfork reviewed it, and they kind of just hit the nail on the head with how amazing that album is. But Pitchfork's kind of weird, man. It's hit or miss with their reviews. I think they reviewed Mastodon's Hushed and Grim and said that it was not inventive. It was the same thing that they had put out, and it was that the lyrics needed some work. And I thought the opposite of that for that entire album. So,
yeah, I think obviously any big review site like that, you have to look at one, who the reviewer is, because they have a team of reviewers. So you might like the way one of them writes, but not the way another one of them writes. But yeah, I mean, you and I do this, and I'm sure you come across this bridge when trying to apply an arbitrary number to an album. Like it's an admittedly silly process, you know?
Definitely.
Like it's never a for sure thing. Like these things are always moving, these lines, these scores. Like, and I'm sure them as a publication, they know their power. They know if they give a 10 to something that it's going to be in articles on news websites and shit. Like they've gotten to that point and they give them out so rarely. But at the same time, it is borderline pretentious what they do and the way they do it. But I do think that over the past few years, they've been getting better about that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, it was just a funny review, man. I'm actually going to include that in the show notes for everybody to read. If anybody here listening liked Hushed and Grim, it'll be a funny read for you because I laughed out loud at a couple of moments.
I mean, Peppa Pig getting a better score than Donda is still just the best thing I've ever fucking seen. So
where's the lie? There's no lie here, bro.
There is none. There is none.
That was a 0.5 out of 10. All right, moving on. We have a banger called Bang by a little band called Sir Sly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, way different than anything that was on The Rise or Fall of Loverboy. Kind of reminds me of like Beck a little bit, like a little more experimental, but I dig it.
Yeah, here for that. Get weird, Sir Sly. Get weird.
Samesies.
All right, speaking of weird, Dirtwire put out a song called Deeper Well. Have we talked about Dirtwire?
I don't think so.
Okay, do you know who Beats Antique is?
Yes.
Okay, Beats Antique is one of the members of Dirtwire. Dirtwire is a really neat band. All of their music that they write and record is written and recorded on psilocybin mushrooms. And they use a lot of old school instruments that were originally tracked and recorded in synthesizers for dance music. So you'll hear some sounds that you won't normally hear in, country dance rock. And I think it's just really neat. I like this song. I like them as a band. I got to see them live at Pappy and Harriet's, which was a pretty neat performance, except for the guy with the silly hat in front of me. Yeah, man. What did you think?
I thought it was really cool. It's like a interesting fusion of blues and folk. What did you call it? Country dance rock?
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah, for some reason, the only thing my mind could like relate it to was like a weird slower version of Maylene and the Sons of Disaster. It's got this like ominous overtone to it, but it's pretty fucking awesome. I didn't know they wrote all of it on mushrooms. That's insane. But
yeah, they put out like a bunch of albums, and they're very, very vocal about mushrooms. I'll put it in the show notes if I can find it on YouTube, but they actually had a digital live stream in which they performed on a green screen for them, but it's in like this giant mushroom bowl stage thing that's all CGI, and they had a very vocal proponent of the psilocybin mushroom legalization movement and research movement, Paul Stamets. I don't know if you know who that is, but
I do not.
He's very well known in the psychedelics world, and yeah, they had him talk about mushrooms a little bit, talk about the creativity aspects and some of the benefits of it, and then they went on and played, and it's pretty neat. I'll try to, if I can find a copy, I will throw it on in the show notes.
For sure, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. All right, so that concludes the singles for this month, which was nothing short of really neat. Really good music that was put out this month, half of this month already. Jesus, we have so much music. We're on the 15th of November, and our playlist was already at 13 hours. So let's just go ahead and jump right into the albums. You threw on this Mick Jenkins. Do you want to start?
Yeah, so I came across him, I feel like, a couple years ago. I think he released an album called Pieces of Man a couple years ago, and that's originally how I'd heard him. He's kind of like Maxo Cream. Like, he'd been on my radar for a while, and I'd been skimming what he'd released, but only so much of it connects with me on a big level. This is the first full album of his to do so. I thought right off the bat, the intro is fantastic and sets the tone. It's a little bit more lo-fi and laid back than his previous work, but very similar in lyrical content to some of it. He released an EP last year. I don't remember the name of it, but it had a song on it called Carefree. And that song had a lot of the same themes that this album has. This album has no skips, in my opinion, so I'll kind of just talk about some of the highlights. Excuse me. Things you could die for if doing while black is just an amazing, amazing song that really, like, he gets a little creative with it, but he also just puts it simply. Like, I just want to go for a jog. I just want to sleep in my car. Like, all these things you kind of take for granted that you can do comfortably in big cities if you're a white person. And his struggles, he makes very, very relatable throughout this album, and he never waters it down with needless features. All of the guests on the album all have a place and never really outshine him. Contacts and Truffles are probably the two most fleshed out singles on the album. Really, like, showcase what he can do on a well-produced, high-quality beat, which I think he gets up to, like, almost some J. Cole level bars on some of these songs. But my favorite standout on the album is Gucci Tried to Tell Me. Fantastic song. Love the instrumental. And Randy Moss is my favorite football player of all time. So him getting, like, a name check rhyme in the song is very fucking cool. I gave it an 8 out of 10. Like I said, Gucci Tried to Tell Me was my favorite song. What did you think of it?
So I had never heard of Mick Jenkins prior to the Valley of the Shadow of Death coming on. Socially aware poet with some really special beats. This is incredible. It's I wasn't expecting it. I really love the album artwork. I really love how he is able to tell a story and kind of push an entire narrative along. The comparison that came up for me was if I love story albums. Good Kid, Mad City is a great example of a story album, and while this isn't as cohesive as that is front to back, each song is really, he's able to tell this story with, and I really liked it. It reminds me a lot of Coda the Friend, kind of mellow, jazzy vibe that's curated, but it's much more serious than Coda does.
Definitely.
Incredible flow. He's got, like you said, J. Cole level bars. I didn't put that together until you said it. Just fantastic lyrics all around. There's no skips. My standouts were Valley of the Shadow of Death or Scottie Pippen. I can't really decide which one I liked better.
Scottie Pippen's a great song.
It's a good
too.
one. It's a good one.
What was your rating?
I gave it an 8.
Oh, samesies.
Yeah.
The gods have commenced.
Well, let's be careful calling ourselves gods here, buddy.
The musical gods have decided.
Oh man, no, I really enjoyed this album. Thank you for showing me this. I always go into everything you add on here that I've never heard of with an extremely open mind. Even if I think it's going to be a challenge for me, I
Mhm.
always come out the other side knowing that I got exposed to some really neat music. So thanks for throwing this on here, man.
Of course, of course.
Yeah, fucking great. 8 out of 10 for sure. All right, we decided to review Lost in the Sound of Separation after our talk last month about
Hmm.
Under Oath, their upcoming album Voyeurist, and you and I decided it was time to just revisit this album and talk about it a little bit. I think this is somehow like an overshadowed album of theirs in their discography. It's emotional, it's angsty, it's angry, it's melodic where it needs to be, it's heavy where it needs to be. How did Desperate Times, Desperate Measures not get like famous? Like that song is insane. Like, it's
Yeah,
so good, man.
it should be remembered on the same level as like writing on the wall at the very least. Like it has that type of quality to it. I what year was this? 2009, 8. So this was the tail end of the peak of the scene. And
Yeah.
I think at this moment in the scene, this is when all of these bands were just going towards a more serious sound that they thought was going to provide longevity. And I don't think Under Oath knew while making this album that this would be a few of the members' last album for a few years. I think Aaron went on to start the Almost shortly after recording this, or maybe during the process of it. So I feel like a lot of the dysfunction in the band at the time, which is well noted and talked about since they had like a DVD come out when they reunited, talking about their struggles with drug and alcohol addiction and the things that were kind of just tearing the band apart and shaking their Christian identity that they'd kind of built up, and finding new skin essentially. And I think that this album, like you said, it was just overshadowed by the time it came out. And this was also like they'd been around for about 4 or 5 years, which isn't long in the grand scheme of things, but is an eternity in the peak of the scene. And people were looking for something new. This is when Bring Me the Horizon really started to surpass Under Oath as like a popular band, which people might be like, Under Oath was never more popular, but They're Only Chasing Safety is a top 10 all time scene album. And while Bring Me the Horizon was popular at live shows, There Is a Hell was really when they started to come together, like as an actual band with longevity in about 2010. So we were just going through this weird process now, like Devil Wears Prada, all these bands, not necessarily getting lighter, but getting more serious in a way that I don't think a lot of us were ready for, even though we were aging with them. We wanted to hold on to those Warped Tour days. We wanted to hold on to the youth, to the immaturity. And I feel like this album is so beautiful to look back on because it reminds you of that weird, just transitional time in music and in our lives. And Desperate Times, Desperate Measures is easily the standout single, but I think Too Bright to See, Too Loud to Hear is probably the peak of the songwriting on the album and easily the most personal as to what was on their mind at the time of making it. I think it's a shame that it's not really remembered for as good as it is, but I kind of like the place in history that it has upon revisiting it.
Yeah, I'm really glad that we decided to revisit this. And while they're only chasing safety, will forever hold that piece in my heart. I think that Under Oath fucking killed it on this album, man. And God, I mean, your synopsis on this album was beautiful because the time and the place and the what we were doing and I think you're right. I think everybody just kind of wanted to hold on to kind of the more kind of the more childish stuff, and I think Under Oath was ready to be a little bit more serious. And I'm really glad we revisited this. This made me very happy to listen to. This was an easy 8 out of 10. Desperate Times, Desperate Measures was my standout.
Yeah, I had it around a 7 or an 8. Couldn't really decide, but it's in that level for sure.
Yeah, it's a good album. Very excited for Voyeurist. Let's see what
Same.
they pump out.
Yeah, January 14th, we'll be here.
Let's go. All right. Moving on to an album by Amine, 2.5.
Yeah.
Go
You
ahead,
want to
take it
go
away.
first? Okay. So I don't think it's a big secret that he is one of my favorite rappers. Limbo is my 2020 album of the year overall. He kind of uses this point five as a stop point between big albums. He called this an EPLP mixtape album, I think, because what the fuck, like we said many times, they're all just projects. I think this one
Fuck genres.
is
It's all house.
exactly. And speaking of dance music, this album is mostly produced by Lido, who I'm not sure if you remember that name. He kind of came from like that Cashmere Cat, Trippy Turtle,
Yeah,
weird
for sure.
SoundCloud era, a lot of those bed spring trap drum type shit. And while those aren't present on this album, thank God, a lot of that like light and breezy energy is. I think that Amine's come into his own vocally, like where he can take a bar and the things he can rhyme about and the bars he can pull off, as ridiculous as they can be, is very impressive. Colors is probably the most fully fleshed out song on this, in the way that he uses like the pitch shifting in his voice adds a unique layer. I think a lot of what this album suffers from is these songs not being fully cooked. And there's songs like Between the Lines and Shit to Lose near the end, where I think those were really, really good songs with a lot of potential, but they just really aren't thought out with their structure. And you have to listen to them about 5 times to even feel like satiated. I feel like he did his job in holding fans over, but I don't think he's come close to Limbo or even 1.5, because 1.5 had Reel It In and Blackjack on it, which were two of his biggest songs at the time or to date. This one, I'm really not sure what that's going to be. I think Neo has some potential as like one of those good vibes playlist songs that's going
Yeah.
to get a lot of love for that. It's that type of song. Mad Funny Freestyle like really showcases that. Charmander in retrospect sounds better within the context of the whole album than it did as a single, but it was,
Literally word for word in my notes.
but yeah, it was indicative of what we were going to get. I think that if any other artist tried this, I'd have it about a 4 or a 5, but I think he's witty enough lyrically and gifted enough like stylistically to pull this off. So I gave it a 6 out of 10. Colors was my favorite song.
Cool, man. I also gave it a 6 out of 10. This album is a lot of fun. Charmander even fits very nicely in the context of the whole album. I don't really have too much more to say about this. And I think that's because, like you said, some of these songs just aren't fleshed out. Um, I really enjoyed it though. The beats and the productions they're just on point. The lyrics aren't crazy deep or really meaningful, but it all works really well as a whole album. Mad Funny Freestyle is fucking great. That's gonna be my standout. It's just fucking great music, man. That is some top tier music.
I agree. I think what's weird about music in general is like I gave this album a 6 and Mick Jenkins an 8, and I stand by both of those scores, but I probably listened to this album just as much as that album. Like just because an album isn't as great as another album, how much fun it is worth something. And I think
Oh, that
that
matters.
that's apparent with this one. Like if you want to feel good and one of these songs comes on, you're gonna laugh because there's some fucking, he's just got that ability right now, and I fucking love it.
Like we said earlier in this show, it's energy, man. He's got an energy about him, and
Yes.
it was a really fun album. I'll be revisiting it. I don't think it'll go on my albums of the year list, but I will definitely be revisiting it. It's a good one.
He finally announced his tour is starting tomorrow. I think it's called, I don't, Club Banana Tour, and Portland is the first date, which he's been teasing for a long time because he's born and raised in Portland.
Oh, neat.
Tickets on sale tomorrow at 10 a.m. We'll see what, I didn't see a price yet, so that'll be the first thing that decides what I'm going to do with that. But man, it's cool to see him finally touring. I'm hoping that the set is a little more Limbo based than 2.5 based, but I'm happy to see him hitting the road because he's a phenomenal live performer.
Cool. Cool. All right. Well, I hope you get to see him.
Thank
Moving
you.
on, we've got an album from Keto. It's called Blossom. Who is Keto? Never mind. Uh, I don't give a fuck who this lady is, but I just love this. It is so good. The Channel Trust feature is obviously, incredible.
Yep.
But I really like this. She's got a fantastic voice. Her production style reminds me kind of Elohim a little bit. It's really fun to listen to, and it's really deep on a couple of different levels. We've got a Zoo feature. We've got a Broods feature. We've got a Channel Trace feature. This is all around everything that I really liked. I gave it a 7. My standout was Recap featuring Channel Trace.
Interesting. So, I don't know who Keto is, honestly. That song Recap came on my like radar earlier this year, and it's kind of just been on like the songs that I listen to throughout the year. It's been in my rotation. I hadn't really heard much from her since then. I might have heard the Follow Zoo Jeremiah song because that looks familiar to me. But when I saw the EP got released, I was like, you know what? Let's throw it on here and give it a shot because Terror Jr. has a weird bedroom pop vibe that usually goes good with this type of EDM. Broods, uh, they have a couple collabs on the Flight Facilities album we'll talk about shortly. They're really good vocalists in this type of space. Bay Miller is a fantastic up and coming pop artist. It's a very well selected album. It's a great start. I'm with you. Recap featuring Channel Tress and Van Jess is easily my favorite. I gave it a 6 out of 10. I thought it was good. I just wanted a little more, I think.
That's fair. I think what this is, I think what we got, just, and I know nothing about keto, the artist, not the diet, but I think this might have started out as a longer album, and I think they decided to maybe cut some songs because it did leave me wanting more. But I think that everything that was put here is great. So that's I think
agree.
where my 7 comes from.
I agree. That's fair.
Alrighty. All right, man. This next album, Snail Mail, with the album titled Valentine, has gotten a lot of buzz since it's released, and I can see why. I fucking love this style of indie pop. What is this, pop or indie pop? I don't give a fuck.
This is indie pop,
Great.
indie rock, indie pop, sure.
Yeah, I just know that this is very pleasant. It's very good. At what point of popularity does this style of indie kind of cross over into pop? Right? It's kind of that. It's kind of right on that edge. The songs are all very well written. She clearly is very intentional with her writing, which I really like. I really like intentional, kind of witty lyrics, like she's got. The strings on Light Blue, that's my fucking jam, man. You know I'm a sucker for strings where they don't belong.
I know.
All of this album feels just incredibly, extremely authentic, which I really appreciated. I gave it an 8. My standout is Light Blue. This is a fantastic album. This is going on my albums of the year.
I knew it would, and I added it. I didn't know if you knew who she was or if you were going to add it, but I was sure that you were going to see it popping up on like a lot of the critical acclaim lists
Everywhere.
before long.
Everywhere.
I am not going to like pretend like I was ahead of that curve by much. The way I discovered them was the music video for Valentine popped up on my YouTube recommendations, and I was like, oh, Snail Mail, like that sounds kind of familiar. So I clicked it. Fantastic music video. Their visuals are just as good as their music, very well thought out and themed. And then they kind of released a few more singles before the albums came out. Ben Franklin, which is my favorite song on the album. The way she can like twist her voice to just get a little bit of extra emotion out of it is just, that makes all the difference with this type of indie rock to me. It adds like a very intimate personal touch, and I think that's what I get most of this. I think you described it as authentic. That's a very good word to describe it as well. I'm not a giant indie fan by any means, and for me to throw this on was kind of probably startling at first, but I fucking really love it. I agree with you. I gave it an 8 out of 10. Ben Franklin was my favorite song.
You know what's funny is a lot of the publications, a lot of the forums, a lot of the people on the forums that were talking about it, I don't really like that much. I thought it was going to be just another girl that was not going to be that good, to be honest with you. And then you threw it on here, and I fucking loved it. So glad I went into it with an open mind.
Yeah, surprised us both.
Yeah, it's like that meme you sent me, which was Taylor Swift featuring Phoebe Bridgers, and it's a big day for annoying people. That's kind of what I thought when I was reading these threads, and man, it was good. I did spare you by the way, throwing the Red album. It's 2 hours long on the playlist. I highly recommend you listen to it. Any Taylor Swift fans. Swifties.
We will talk about that off air, but all right.
Cut. All right. Moving on here. Are you done with snail mail? Can we move on to Summer Walker?
I'm done with snail mail.
All righty. Next up, we have Summer Walker's album, Still Over It. John, I don't relate to this music.
I know you don't, Brandon. I know you don't.
It's good R&B. Summer Walker's voice is great. I can appreciate it, right? I appreciate it for what it is. It's easy listening if I'm not paying attention, and the production is done really well. Everything sounds great. It's just not my cup of tea, my man. I gave it a 4.
I respect that. I feel very opposite, but I respect that. And I'm not surprised at all because she added that single X for a reason, or released that last month. We talked about it. It was okay. She's not like amazing on it, but it has kind of like a 90s R&B vibe. It's an okay song, but she has a tendency to sound bored with her own music. This album, I was expecting to give the exact same score you did. Going into it, I was like, it's a long Summer Walker album and it's going to get monotonous. And
what is it, like an hour and 10 or something?
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, we sat through the Her album and that suffered from a lot of the same stuff. And I do think that does hold true. But I think if you really open yourself up to this album lyrically and like kind of understand the story behind it, it all starts to come together. So this album is co-produced by London on the Track. You might hear a few of his producer tags on her old stuff. That is her ex-fiance husband. Father of her child, who has since been caught like cheating, and she left him, and she like found out that she's his 4th baby mama. Like that's where the song title 4th baby mama near the end comes in at. And if you listen lyrically like to the first song, like she says like a bunch of shit about him personally. So this is kind of like a reverse Confessions. And I think when you go into
reverse Confessions, okay.
Yeah. I mean, Lemonade. It's like a more R&B Lemonade. I think when you go into it knowing that that's the story, you're able to pick up on those themes a lot easier. But for me, just being a giant R&B fan, like Bitter starts and it's kind of slow, but when that drum beat kicks in, like that's my favorite type of R&B drum beat. And we get that a little bit. X for a Reason and No Love with SZA are the easy singles to go with here. But 4th Baby Mama, I think if you listen to the prelude and the actual song, I don't know if you made it that deep into the album or if you gave up. I wouldn't blame you.
I listened to the whole thing. Like I said, you told me to listen to something. Yeah. I listened to it. I did restart it a couple of times because I got a few songs in and
you realize you're not listening. So. Yeah, totally. No, I fully get that. And if you're never feeling an album, I'm not going to be personally hurt. I add it for those reasons.
No, I like to challenge myself.
There's a few little bursts of life in here. That right there with Pharrell Williams and the Neptunes has that classic like bounce to it. It's kind of like guys ain't shit type of knock your head music, which I fuck with. I like R&B that you can knock your head to.
That's actually my standout.
Awesome. Yeah,
it's a good song.
It's a good song. I'm gonna go with Bitter or 4th Baby Mama. I give it an 8 out of 10. I think it's just a notch below Snow Allegra's album earlier this year, but I don't expect you to revisit it. But if you do revisit it, try and keep some of the stuff I said in mind when listening to the lyrics.
Yeah, that's fair. I went into it blind, so.
I almost text you some of that backstory, but I was like, I want to see if he'll pick up on it because I didn't pick up on it on my first listen. That one was actually, I listened to it twice, didn't get into it, and then it came on in the car with the bass at full volume, and I was like, oh, I get it.
There you go. There you
One
go.
of those, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, just I guess I just have a problem connecting with it. Well,
It's a very, very slow album. I understand.
it is. Moving on, we have an album called Drones by Terrace Martin. You want to go first?
Edumacation is hell, man. We got I this album popped up on my radar because it has a Kendrick Lamar feature on it in an age when a Kendrick Lamar feature is like a unicorn, apparently. This is good. It's just so this album as a whole is really good. That song is just fine. I think it's a good collaboration that sounds very much like To Pimp a Butterfly era stuff, which isn't a surprise when you learn that Terrace Martin is a multi-instrumentalist that has played a role in the creation of a lot of Kendrick's albums. So
Interesting.
that's why that G-Funk soul vibe is there throughout. I think that that's good, but To Pimp a Butterfly is not my favorite Kendrick album, so
It's my
that
least
vibe
favorite.
doesn't yeah, that vibe doesn't connect with me much, but I do find a lot of really, really awesome moments on this album. And we get a Channel Tress feature. That's mainly why I added it because I was like, oh shit, Kendrick and Channel Tress. But I was most blown away by the Corday feature, a guy who continues to blow me away every time he's on a song. Everything he releases is fantastic. I love the energy, coming back to that word, that he brings to this song. It's infectious and it's so fun. It's just one of those songs you can just like put on repeat and just stay in a good mood to. And it's not like too sugary. You don't get sick of it very fast. I think that the music being rooted in G-funk and jazz really has that, like, this isn't just to be taken lightly or to just breeze over it. It's well instrumented. It's well played music, and I think that it's well produced as well. I would have liked to have seen, if you're gonna put Kendrick on an album now, for him to do a little more than like a 4-bar chorus type of thing, but it is
Yeah.
what it is. I'll take it. I gave it a 7 out of 10. Work It Out was my favorite song.
All right. Well, this is the first time I had ever heard of Terrace, and I'm sure you knew that as you threw it on there, for me at least. We've gotten some great disco this year, but we haven't heard a whole lot of funk and soul. And, this kind of hits that spot, man. I'm kind of glad that artists are bringing back sounds that kind of got lost in the dancey kind of 2010s. There's some great R&B moments at the end of this album. I really enjoyed this, man. I really enjoyed this. This was a lot of fun. I too liked Work It Out, but I think my standout is actually Drones. Everything minus the Kendrick feature, which is fucking weird to say, but you're right. I didn't even make the connection between To Pimp a Butterfly because I've only listened to that album twice, because both times I was just like, meh, he's done better.
It wasn't made for us.
I guess so. And that's fair. Whatever. Kendrick is still a goat. So yeah, man. I also gave it a 7. I really liked this album. I will definitely be revisiting this. Thanks for throwing this on there.
Same. Yeah, we don't really have like a category for this in our end of the year thing, but definitely shout out to anybody putting albums together like that because I fucking appreciate it.
Yeah, same. All right, man. ABBA.
Oh boy.
Let's go. Voyage. All right, man. Well, I had a really hard time making up my mind about this album. When the first 2 singles dropped, I liked them. We talked about them. And then when Just a Notion dropped, it kind of soured all 3 of those singles. And then the album dropped, and I have to say, I think I like it, man. Even Just a Notion sounds so much better in the context of the album than it did in a single. Look, clearly this is ABBA Bronze. It's not ABBA Gold. But I do enjoy this album. I won't revisit it as much as I already do with their old music, but I'm glad they're back. I'm happy to hear more of them. I think we're going to probably get some fun remixes or maybe some of these songs being sampled in maybe some eclectic house music sets, which I think is fun. My favorite was "Keep an Eye on Dan." I really liked that song, and I gave it a 6 out of 10.
That's funny. Keep an Eye on Dan was also my favorite song.
It's the best song.
Yeah, it's got like a little bit of an edge to it that I don't think the other tracks have. I think it was between that one and No Doubt About It for me. I agree with a lot of what you said, except I'm still conflicted. It sounds like you at least kind of figured out how you feel about it. And like part of me, obviously I don't listen to this type of music now. Nobody really listens to this type of music now, and nobody really makes this type of music now. So it's both an accomplishment and kind of like a ship in the night. Like I don't really know how much I'll revisit this, but for them to make this 40, 50 years later, you know, after becoming this international sensation from a TV show overseas, like it's pretty fucking crazy. And as much as I might not like some of these songs, like to write these songs this many years later shows that they're still incredibly capable musicians that are worth respect. And I don't know if it's the critical darling that websites are saying that it is, or the achievement that they're saying it is, but I think that it has its place, and I think that at least ABBA fans are satiated with it, and that's all that really matters.
Yeah. Here's why you can't really wrap your head around it, buddy. This is a collection of songs that was, some of them are probably new, but others were written for their old albums and got scrapped and then re-recorded.
Interesting.
So it is not their best, and I think that they knew this, and I think that they just wanted a reason probably to make a little bit of money, which is fine. But I did enjoy it. It just it's not Dancing Queen. It's not Man After Midnight. You know, like it's not
Take a Chance on Me.
It's not Super Trooper. You know, like there's some bangers from ABBA, and this is just not it. So
I agree. 100%. I have it at a 4 right now. We'll see it where it sits in a few months.
Yeah, man. I think that's going to be good. Let's see here. We have...
I'll take over for this one, Brandon. So
go right ahead, sir.
So you added ABBA. I had to be a dick, and I added Limp Bizkit, which I contemplated adding for about a week. I was like, do I want to do this? Do I want to talk about this? Do I even seriously want to like listen to it? But I'll tell you what, I hit play on it when it came out just out of curiosity, as you and I usually do on albums that we're not anticipating anything from for some odd reason. We're just masochists, I guess.
Right.
But Bad Vibes came out. It's kind of a, like eye roll, but has like an undeniable like, damn, I don't want to admit that it's good, but it's kind of good for modern Limp Bizkit. So I was like, it's worth checking out. Album's called Still Sucks. They seem very self-aware of where they're at in their career. So I just hit play and let it go. Right away, I was kind of impressed. Out of Style was a little too eclectic for I think what they were going for, but I think they pull it all together and you get a little bit of all that signature Limp Bizkit shit. The chorus is a little cheesy, but so were a lot of their prime choruses, you know, like if you go back, not all of it was the badass shit that they try and remember. It's not all break stuff. It's not all Faith and all of that shit. Like they had, you know, My Way or the Highway and cheesy shit like that. But yeah, I think Out of Style as a whole works as a song. It goes pretty smoothly into the second song, Dirty Rotten Biscuit, which is, I guess, my favorite if I have to pick one. It's not great, but the last minute you really get... This has the guitars that I like in Limp Bizkit when they're doing what they're doing well. You have fucking Wes Borland just chugging along on the bass, and they're just... It's got this freeform thing, and then they kind of bring the DJ scratches in there. You get the little Fred vocal clips and all that shit, and it sounds signature. And then we go into Dad Vibes. So I'm like, all right, this album started off with 3 pretty good songs considering what this album is. And then we get into everything else. So Turn It Up, Bitch is lyrically a little funny. Sure, new metal king from the trash. It's funny to hear him like proclaim himself the new metal king and all of this shit. But this is them doing a Cypress Hill song, and it's not good and it doesn't fit them. And honestly, from then on out, it's them trying a variety of modern pop things. There's acoustic, there's just generic rock pop, and none of it works. None of it ever comes back to the fun that the first three, and I guess you could say four songs have. And I don't really know why that is. Like, it almost sounds like two different albums, but I think if they would have released the first four songs as an EP, we'd be having a different discussion. But as an album, this is a 2 out of 10. And yeah, I really no favorite, but the first three songs work pretty well.
Well, thank you for throwing this on here, John. I have literally never taken Limp Bizkit seriously. In fact, I don't ever think I've listened to a full Limp Bizkit album besides the other day when I listened to this album. Limp Bizkit clearly still sucks. But I did enjoy a couple of these songs, man. Like you said, I think the first four songs are fucking awesome. Everything after that is just Limp Bizkit doing a ballad. Fred Durst singing. This is fucking weird, man. This shit is weird, dude. Dirty Rotten Biscuit is definitely the standout. I actually gave it a 4 out of 10 because the entertainment value on some of these lyrics are fun. But yeah, man, I guess it was fun to listen to a full Limp Bizkit album front to back.
Oh man, if I would have known, I mean, like Chocolate Starfish is actually a decent album if you're gonna go to new metal, but this, oh man, this is a rough journey. But at least, like you said, you had a few laughs along the way.
You know, the real lesson is the friends we make along the way.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I can now say I've listened to a full Limp Bizkit album, and I mean, woo, I'm a big fan of new metal. You know, I liked all that shit. This is just they just never. I just could never relate to it. I guess. I just yeah, it's just not my thing, man.
I agree.
Alrighty. Well, moving on to something that very much is my thing. We have from Parcels. We have Day Night. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it, man. So, all right, I threw this on. I was never a huge Parcels fan, but I threw this on one morning. I think it was Sunday morning. The wife and I were hanging out having coffee, and it just kind of really did it for me, man. I needed to put it on the playlist because of how good it is, in my opinion. And we just needed to talk about it. This album is straight up fucking beautiful. All of the classical elements work so well. It's just so soothing. It's pretty. I have never been a huge follower of Parcels, but I just kind of threw it on one morning, and I guess it really clicked with me. I've listened to it like 3 or 4 times since. It's just a beautiful album, in my opinion, man, front to back. I gave it a 9 out of 10. Standout is the song Outside. Again, big fan of Strings.
Interesting. Okay. So I'm kind of in between on this one.
Don't be.
Like you, I don't think that I'd ever like been a big fan of them. I think how I originally discovered Parcels was they kind of got the rub from being produced by members of Daft Punk, if I'm not mistaken, and some of their early stuff.
Very interesting. I did not know this.
Yeah, I believe that's how I originally discovered them. Is I think Daft Punk did some produce. Maybe it was Skrillex. I don't know. I feel like they've been produced by a few of those people. I'll have to look into it. But yeah, I really didn't know what to expect going into this, and it's definitely a more ambitious album than I was anticipating. It's a double, like the day and night thing is very obviously literal, with the first side of the album starting with the part Light, and the second part of the album being started with the song Shadow. Both of those out, like you kind of really know the quality of an album you're in for because the intro to the chapters are both as well thought out of songs as any of the other songs on the album, you know?
Almost jarringly so.
Yeah, like I was like, man, is Light my favorite song on the album? Like that's a weird thing to say because it's just the intro to the album, but it's that well crafted at the same time. I think all of the singles work really well together. Like you said, the classical touches are so well added. They have a way of just layering keys in there at the right moment. My like in my favorite song, Never Loved, it's just got this like I don't know even the way to describe the tone of the song, but it's so uniquely theirs. And I think that there's bands that release these huge like I don't know. I wouldn't say this is a concept album. No, I would. I guess this is a concept album. So there's bands that release these huge sprawling albums, I should say. Like I think the 1975 did this last year, and it's so much music to take in that you end up just falling out of it because it's a little too just all over the place.
Hard to
And
keep your attention.
yeah, yeah, and I feel like this one's very concise in that way. Like they knew what their goal was going into it, and they knew the themes that they were writing around, and they did it all very well. In terms of me being like a giant fan, it didn't win me over in that way. I gave it a 7 out of 10 for now, and Never Loved is still my favorite, but I'll
It's a
have to
good song.
revisit it because I've only listened to it all the way through twice.
You know, I was very surprised with how much I liked this album, and I think what you said about the 1975 kind of hit the nail on the head with it, which is that this album held my attention for
Hmm.
the entire album. It held my attention the whole way through, and I was I'm a fan of this album. So I don't even think I've ever listened to any other music from them. I just know the band, right? So I think
Yeah,
I'm gonna throw some stuff on my listen to next, which I've been making my way through. Man, I've got some good music to
making my
show you.
way downtown,
Oh
faces
man.
pass.
I was gonna let you finish.
I know.
Could have done the whole song. No, I really like this album. I think it's gonna sit well with me in the future. I was just hooked. So cool.
Yeah, they're also on, I think, the label Kitsune, the French label,
Yep.
who, yeah, there's a lot of interesting artists on that label. So they're in an interesting space.
Which means they have access to interesting producers. Which this album definitely had some interesting production on it, and some of the juxtapositions are neat. I really liked it.
Fun fact, Kitsune has coffee shops and like art houses all over the world. So there's like a Cafe Kitsune in Tokyo, Japan and shit.
Oh fuck me up, man! That sounds awesome.
Yeah, they do. And they have like artists do mixes for some of their stuff too. It's pretty cool, like their in-store stuff.
That's really neat.
The
That's
more
really
you
neat.
know.
The more you know. Alrighty, moving on here, we have an album that you threw on, Ginger Root, City Slicker. Is this that city pop you were telling me about?
It is. I would consider this city pop. He describes his music as aggressive elevator soul, which I think is better than city pop. So we'll go with that.
It's definitely fitting.
Right away, I this was a very similar to Snail Mail thing. The Loretta music video popped up on my recommendations, and right away I was won over by this dude. His voice is fantastic, and nobody's writing city pop like this quite in this way, you know. I think that this is a fantastic collection of songs. I hope that there's a market, and I hope that there's like a group of fans that find this and really support it because it's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
Go for it.
I was just gonna say this is fucking awesome, and then you
Yeah,
literally took the words out of my mouth.
yeah. I give it a 7 out of 10. Loretta was my favorite song.
Yeah, so we talk a lot about genre blending and artists borrowing from other artists, and kind of working that into their music, and how that can work sometimes and how that can backfire sometimes. This guy took different eras of the same genre and of different genres and put them all together, and it all fucking works, man. You've got 70s and 90s in this album. I mean, you've got uh, the City Slicker. The song is just awesome. I gave it a 7 out of 10. Also, I really liked Fly 2. I think that's my
Interesting.
standout.
Yeah,
It's all fucking great, man. This is just the right amount of different.
I agree. I
Just the right
agree.
amount of different.
Yeah, I hope he keeps doing this because it's awesome.
Yes. Yes, I agree. I'm a fan. I have followed on the Spotify. Um, I think I'm old enough now to put the in front of words. Like I went
Yeah,
to the Costco earlier today.
of course, of course.
You gonna go to the Coachella? All right,
I'm gonna go
so
get the hot dog.
all right, so we have a much anticipated album up next, and it's called "An Evening with Silk Sonic." I'm just gonna go ahead and take it away.
Of
This is
course.
smooth as fuck. This is smooth as fuck, the whole album. They have a palpable chemistry, and that same musical energy in each one of these individual artists. Just just really translates into this incredible duo, man. I can't find anything I dislike about this album. There's funk, there's soul, genuine musicianship. There is just fun. It's just fun, man. It's a good
Yeah.
album. I gave it a 9. Fly as Me is my standout.
That's awesome. Yeah, I agree with almost everything you just said. Like their chemistry is what makes this album, and this album kind of came together as a result of the pandemic. They were kind of just both in the studio together, and it was like, well, let's quarantine together. Let's start making some music together and just see what comes of it. Leave the Door Open, obviously one of the biggest pop songs of the year. It's dominated the radio, racked up so many goddamn plays. And we knew the quality we were going to get. I was expecting an 8-song album. That's exactly what we got if you don't count the intro. I knew that two artists of this caliber probably weren't going to do like 12 songs or anything like that. And
Holy
I'm fine
shit,
with the
627 million listens. I'm sorry.
yeah, that song racked up this year. It did very
Jesus.
well. That's not even half of the top Bruno Mars song plays, though, man.
Oh, I know.
He's got wedding playlist songs, which will forever keep his pockets lined. But I think that they really did a great job, and I think they did a good job of taking the feedback of Leave the Door Open and some of the negative feedback of Skate and kind of put it into perspective. Hey, we don't have to overthink this. We don't have to try to put out the best pop record people have ever heard. We just need to have fun with this. And I think like when we got Smoking Out the Window a few weeks ago, it was like, oh fuck, okay, we are getting this. Hearing Bruno Mars come in with "This bitch got me," like you would never picture him saying it the way
I
that he says
know.
it. It's fantastic. I gave this one an 8 out of 10. Smoking Out the Window is my favorite. I will say, I'm not, I guess it's a lot of parallel thought, but the funniest thing that people are kind of taking away from this album is that After Last Night sounds like one of the Justin Timberlake Lonely Island songs. And once you hear that, it's impossible to not hear it.
Oh man,
So
that's
have
so
fun.
funny. That's
Have fun
so funny.
with the Dick in a Box song
Oh
on there.
man.
But
Well, I mean, certified classic.
yes, yes.
Certified classic.
I got my digital camera. I'm gonna make your mother do a million poses. So good.
Oh man. All right. So I think I'm done with Silk Sonic.
Me too.
Are you ready to talk about flight facilities?
I'm ready.
Let's talk about Forever. Take it away, John.
This is God. I would say behind Porter Robinson, this was our most anticipated album throughout the year, at least in terms of electronic slash dance music.
Yep.
We got the single Lights Up. I think they might have released the vintage remix first this year, actually, which was kind of like their, hey, we're back type of thing. And it was very disco-y, dancey. Then we got the follow-up Lights Up with Channel Tress, who is one of our favorites, a Brandon's Face playlist regular almost every month. And everything he touches is gold. That song was fantastic, but we didn't really know at the time if it was going to be a single, a new album. We were kind of hoping for a new album. And over the next few months, we kind of went on an interesting ride with them. We got a handful of singles from them, and they were kind of all over the place. But we got Lights Up, we got Move, we got Forever, and we got Heavy. And all of them kind of show a little different side of it. These Broods collaborations, What I Want and Forever, I feel like pretty much perfectly encapsulate where they're at as a band now. I feel like the title track Forever is what you're supposed to kind of take away from this album, in terms of like the overall tone and sound and what they wanted to get across. And then I feel like they do a great job paying homage to their past. Heavy sounds like a spiritual successor to Crave You, which obviously was their biggest single to date. And I love that they're going forward. They're not just like resting on this. They're being like so many of the songs you can point out on here. They're just, hey, we were good at that. Now we're great at that. And they don't rest on that. They take chances. The Ghost, one of the most surprising songs on the album that I was not expecting at all.
Shout
And
out to
Move
the
too.
shout out to the TR-303, man. Such a versatile instrument.
Dude, it's fantastic. And yeah, Move, another like almost early 2000s like rave banger. Like they really took some chances, but throughout they kept it all their style. This is a work of art and it lived up to the hype, which so few albums do. I have it as a 9 out of 10. Lights Up is still my favorite just because Channel's my boy. How did you feel about it?
This album is fucking good, man. This is fucking good music. The Ghost is straight up synthwave house goodness. The TR-303 is the hero on that song. I love how they kind of let Broods take the lead on What I Want. I really like that. That's a very good song. Jordi Felix's voice on Pain is just fucking beautiful. This whole album is just ethereal, and it's just a little bit different than anything else they've ever put out. And also like music in general right now, like it's just different, and it comes at a time. I think this album is going to set a couple trends and kind of push house in a direction that is going to kind of chill humans out. So I think these tracks are going to add a layer of depth to their live sets, which I think is pretty neat. I am just enamored with the varied use of old instruments layered with modern themes, and how it kind of creates this unique atmosphere for the entire album. Like the entire album is its own energy, its own feeling, its own place. Like it's its own fucking thing. This is for me an easy 10 out of 10. I think my standouts are either The Ghost or Heavy. This was entirely easy to listen to and incredibly captivating, and everything, like you said, it held up to the hype. There was a lot of hype around this album, especially from me and you. You and I were just hyping everything up, and I think it lived up to it, man. I really, really enjoyed this album.
I agree. And all right, so let me put you on the spot here. Obviously, none of this is official. Jungle, Flight Facilities, Porter. How do you rank those three right now?
Right now, on the spot?
Off the top of your head. No thought into it.
Porter, Flight, Jungle.
Interesting. Okay. Same.
That's it's just I Porter put out. I mean, I cried during my first listening to that album, and it just kind of hit a couple of different nerves. That's also an easy 10 out of 10, but it's a different 10 out of 10 than this album is.
I agree.
It's just different. It's more musical actually. But this was fantastic. Thanks for putting me on the spot, man. I love that shit.
Anytime.
Love that shit.
Now are you ready for an album I know you've been chomping at the bit for?
Oh my goodness. We've got a album that was kind of a surprise album from Idols, called Crawler. Produced by none other than Kenny fucking Beats.
The one and only.
I still laugh about it. All right, man. So the first song, what is it? MTT 420RR, really sets the tone for the album. One can kind of surmise that Joe kind of saw his life ahead of and behind him at the same time. Joe's the lead singer of this album or this band. This is much more of a personal album instead of a social album. So they put out an album, 3 albums before this. This is their fourth studio album. First one was called Brutalism, which is just heavily social, just heavy social commentary. Clearly they're from the UK. I don't know if you can tell by their accents. But yeah, so Brutalism, Joy as an Act of Resistance, and Ultramono are all very, very socially centered albums. This one is not that. There's a couple of references, but I really like that it's more of a personal album, and that really changed the way they write music, I think. And The Wheel is such a powerful song about addiction, man. I got major Joy Division meets She Wants Revenge vibes on When the Lights Come On. Car Crash is just heartbreakingly artsy. The bassist is the main highlight of this entire album. The instrumentation is just, it's just different and special and just fucking beautiful, man. The New Sensation, the New Sensation is fun. It's a little American Idiot for me, but the lyrics themselves are pretty fun. And I think we kind of needed a little bit of a break after Car Crash and before you hit Stockholm Syndrome. By the time we get to Beachland Ballroom, this kind of odd for them style has been really put into context. After listening to Stockholm Syndrome, Joe's voice is really something on this record. He really, really pushed himself to, I think, put out some vocal just differences. Like he has this cadence about him on this album that's good. Progress is another crazy song about addiction and just incredibly personal for him. King Snake is fucking hilarious. Here Lies the Jack of Fuck All. Just insane musicality. There's depth, there's sound layering, there's artistry. This is an easy 10 out of 10 for me, man.
Yeah, I figured it would be a 10 out of 10 for you, like right away when I heard you start talking about it. I feel like it's so different from the first things of theirs you showed me, or especially like I think my first exposure to them was the Tiny Desk that they did.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of gone on to be slightly legendary just for that weird type of energy that they brought into that room, which not a lot of artists do. But this was, I don't know, I think this was different because everything I keep reading about it is like how different it is for them to have done. But this is honestly, like, I feel like my starting point in like right. learning their music. And I think that if this is different, then I think I like them being different, because like songs like the Beachland Ballroom and stuff are the ones that stuck with me the most, or Car Crash or Progress. But like beyond just being like dark and dense, it gets fucking chaotic, you know. Like lyrically I wasn't picking up on all of the themes put down the same way you did, but I'm gonna like definitely pick that up on subsequent listens. But I was just blown away by the versatility of it all. Like, is that fucking grindcore on Wiz? Like, it's
yes.
Yeah, I was like, oh, Brandon's gonna love this. But yeah, I think that I've only given this one 3 listens all the way through, and I'm going to have to sit with it before giving it an official score. But right now I have it as a 7 out of 10. Beachland's my favorite. And it's definitely going to be in my top 10 in terms of rock for the year, but I don't know if it'll crack the top 5. That'll take a few more listens.
That's fine. They are a bit different. Do me a favor. The next listen you do, and you're actively listening to it, if you have the ability to it, put the lyrics in front of your face. Wiz is funny because apparently Joe, the lead singer, took just random text messages from his ex drug dealer and just put them into this song. So this 30-second fucking grindcore song in the middle of an insanely personal, deep art album. Yeah.
That's what addiction feels like, though.
Straight up though.
Yeah.
And as someone who has struggled with addiction in the past, it was kind of it was a meaningful album for me, and I really loved it. I haven't picked a standout yet. I don't know if you noticed that I didn't say what my standout is, but I haven't picked it. I really liked The Wheel. I really liked Progress. I really liked the Beachland Ballroom. I really liked Stockholm. So, I
Yeah.
mean, I like them all, and it's really difficult for me to pick a favorite. I think just for fun, I think I'm just gonna choose Wiz as my favorite. But I really did enjoy this album, and it lived up to the hype. I really want you to like them as much as I do their old stuff, because their social commentary is just hilarious on some of their on
If
some of
only they
their
found
songs.
Kenny Beats like 5 years ago, man. Just tell
They
them.
didn't need Kenny
I'm
Beats for
joking.
brutalism. Just the name of their second album, "Joy as an Act of Resistance," is such a beautiful album title. There's been so much positivity that came out of this band, and to hear some heartbreak come out of this band was refreshing almost.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you read that NME interview all the way through. There's a lot of fun stuff in that interview that kind of puts the whole album into context. But I really liked it. I really liked it. I'm very happy for this.
I did read it, but I'm not able to recall most of it right now. Quick
All good.
question.
Yeah.
That first album of theirs, Brutalism, that has a song on it called Stendhal Syndrome. Do you think Stockholm Syndrome is like a spiritual successor to that?
It's very possible. I can't think of the song at the moment. Let me find out where it is in the album, because it's one of those albums like this band probably won't pop up on my most listened to of 2020, because I own CDs and vinyls, and that doesn't pop up on my Spotify. Let me find
Late
out.
release too.
Yeah. It's right after Rachel Koo. I'd have to listen to it again, but Brutalism is very good. I Well Done is hilarious. 1049 Gotho is fucking a great song.
I'll throw it on my listen to next.
You know, I highly recommend that one. Enjoy as an Act of Resistance. Both of those albums are just incredibly important to me as a human being. So
Fuck yeah. Well, this has been fun, man.
yeah,
This was
I
a
think so
crazy
too.
start to the month.
Yeah, I'm excited for the rest of the month. I'm excited for the end of the quarter, and I'm excited for our top of the year list. Um, don't forget to like and subscribe, everybody, if you liked what you heard, and if you didn't, then also just anyways like and subscribe. And everybody have a good night. You too, John.
You too. Peace.
Peace.